afternoon, everyone, and I want to welcome you to Epic, Growing Beyond the Ozarks. So I'm so glad to see you all here today, and really want to thank you for taking time out of your busy lives and your work to really spend the afternoon with us. My name is Heather Fisher. I'm the CEO of OSB, and I want to welcome you to National Small Business Week. That's the first week of May, and it's the time where we stop and pause and really celebrate the entrepreneurs and the small business owners that drive our economy, creating jobs, creating new products and services, and really strengthening our communities. So for all the entrepreneurs in the room, I want to give you a round of applause. But here at OSB, we don't just celebrate entrepreneurs 1 week out of the year. It's really at the heart of what we do. So in fact, OSB has been celebrating and supporting entrepreneurs for 15 years. And it's not just through events like Epic. We want to bring people together to grow, to connect, and really to take their business to the next level. So today's theme is Growing Beyond the Ozarks. And that's exactly what we're here to explore today. How can entrepreneurs in this region build strong brands, reach new customers, and expand beyond their local communities to increase their revenue, while staying true to who they are and where they're from? So I'm really excited this afternoon to bring all these wonderful speakers to you. The idea is to provide very practical and inspiring information. We're going to kick off with David Newman from Newman Family Heritage Farm. His presentation is going to be from our farm to their table, expanding beyond the Ozarks. And I'm excited to hear how this small multi-generational farm in Myrtle, Missouri is now coveted by top chefs across the country. So that's going to be really interesting to hear that story. And then we're also going to follow up with a Shark Tank style pitch competition. So it's going to feature 4 local aspiring entrepreneurs, and they'll be sharing their ideas and really putting themselves out there. So I want you to give them your full attention and really encourage them, because it takes a lot of courage to pitch your business in front of a full room of people. So just so you know, those 4 entrepreneurs, aspiring entrepreneurs, have already made it through 2 rounds of the pitch competition. We call it Pitch Fest. And so this is the final round. So today they're vying to win $1,000 cash prize, a brand building scholarship, free co-working, and more. They'll all walk away with something, but that's the top prize. So that's going to be an exciting event that we have, and you all get to vote for your people's choice. And then we're going to follow it up this afternoon with a roundtable called Beyond the Ozarks. So we have a lot of successful businesses already in our region that are already selling their products way beyond the Ozarks. So I'm excited today. We have Heather Minter with Yes Honey, Anna Mayberry with H&M Ranch Store, and Andrew Bedell with the Landing over in Van Buren. So they're each going to talk about how they have grown their business, share real-world insights. I know it's not always easy, but they've learned how to grow, adapt, and reach new markets far beyond the Ozarks. So I hope they inspire you today with their stories. And of course, we're going to end the day with a business mixer, sponsored by Piney River Brewing Company. So it's not just about the free beer, everyone. This is really a chance for you to connect and meet somebody new. And really, if you haven't met John Perkins, he's the master connector over there. He'll make sure you meet somebody. So raise your hand, John. He'll introduce you to somebody that you should know, and will move your business forward. And that's what the mixer is all about. Also, throughout the day, we're going to have lots of breaks. So please visit the vendors in the hallway. It's a chance to really have some of those one-on-one conversations. So you can look in your Epic book to see the vendors that are listed that are down the hallway. During the breaks, also be sure if you need to frequent the bathroom, it's here to the left, my left, and then out back is a smoking area. So if you need to use that, that's where that's located. Just to bring your attention again to the book, we've got the scheduled events today, and then we have the bios of a lot of the speakers, the pitch contestants, and our judges. I think it has a lot of great information. Another thing in here is a list of OSB's upcoming workshops. And then, of course, my favorite page is the impact. So we gave a little snippet of our economic impact from 2025. And just so you know, last year, the OSB team and our volunteer mentors worked with 265 unique businesses. This building can only hold 21 different companies, so the majority of the businesses we work with are outside of this building and outside of Howell County, so that's really exciting. And from that, we launched 20 new businesses. So you're welcome to see the snippets in here, but also, I think on the coffee table and up front, we have a longer economic impact. Be sure to take one if you're interested to learn more. So before we get started, I just want to take a moment to thank a few people that made this day possible. It takes a lot of coordination, a lot of planning, a lot of behind the scenes to pull together an event like this. And I want to thank my OSB team. I have Madison Sutterfield, who probably has emailed all of you at least once, Autumn Shirley, Ricky Baker, Isla Sloan, and Jean Weinbeck. So thank you all for your help. And I also want to sincerely thank our sponsors, because this is the first year we've ever offered this event for free. And I have to say, last year we had 67 people registered. This year we have 93 people registered. So I think offering the event and making this program available to everyone really was a home run. So I want to thank Community First Banking Company. They're our premier sponsor. Hirsch Farm and Feed was our gold sponsor. And then our silver sponsors are Bear Crossing Truck Wash, State Farm Ramona Heine, Newman Farm, Ozark Marketing. And then our bronze sponsors are the Fisher Firm, Hall Oregon Electric Co-op, Taylor Grubar Chevrolet, Buick GMC. I would not want to say that every day. That's a long name. And Burrow, Piney River Brewing Company, Missouri Technology Corporation, and Codify. So thank you to all of our sponsors. So I'd also like to say a special welcome and recognize a few of our special guests. I did not know that the founder of OSB, Tony A, would be here today. So Tony A, give us a wave. He can't hear. But
my left, your right, and if they're full, you go out back.
I'm like an airline. But it was really his vision that charted the course for taking this dilapidated building back in 1998 and turning it into what it is today. So we're forever grateful, and he still inspires all of us, so thank you, Tony. I do have some of our board members here today. I'll let you give a wave. Kelly Slayton. Brian Adcock is the president of our board. Miles Smith is another board member. And I think that's it. I don't think I'm missing anybody, but thank you all for coming. And I also want to thank our EPIC Planning Committee, Jacob Paulette and CJ from MSU West Plains, Kelly Slayton and Ramona Heine really organize EPIC every year. And then we do have some U.S. congressional representatives, field reps, from Senator Eric Schmidt's office is Mike Usry, and from Senator Josh Hawley's office is Aaron Engelmeyer. So thank you both for joining us. We appreciate that. And then from Missouri Economic Development, we have Shannon O'Hagan. So thank you very much for joining us. So if you think about expanding your business into international markets and want to know what that might look like, what that will take, please take time to visit with Shannon during the break. So it's exciting that we also have some local representatives of local government. We have Karen Gaddy. She is the mayor of Mountain View. We've worked together for many years, so excited to see you here today. And then Houston Economic Developer Travis Weitzman. So that's my thank you list, and there's probably people are missing, but more than anything, thank you to all of you for spending the afternoon with us. I hope you will lean into today. So ask questions. There's plenty of opportunities to do that. Introduce yourself to someone new. Cheer on the entrepreneurs that are really pitching their business idea today. And listen for something you can take away to apply to your own business or organization. And let me remind you that growth beyond the Ozarks does not mean leaving the Ozarks behind. It means taking the creativity, what I like to call the grit, and the authenticity of this region and carrying it into new markets, into new relationships, and to new opportunities. So thank you all again for being here. I really appreciate it, and we'll get ready to get started. So. going to do is introduce Kelly Slayton. Kelly will be introducing our keynote. Kelly is the COO and the Executive Vice President and Board Vice Chair of Community First Banking Company and one of our board members. So, Kelly, come up.
Hello, thank you for being here today. It is definitely my pleasure to introduce David Newman, who is the owner and operator of Newman Farm Heritage Berkshire Pork, a Myrtle, Missouri-based family farm specializing in premium Berkshire pork. And I said I'm Hickey Ozark, I would have said Berkshire, but it's Berkshire. So thank you for keeping me straight. He and his wife, Kristen, an essential partner in the business, have built Newman Farm together with a shared commitment to quality, hard work, and doing things the right way. Today, the farm serves top chefs, retailers, and direct-to-consumer customers across the country. Rooted in heritage breeding and responsible farming practices, David is passionate about producing pork with an exceptional eating experience while helping people feel more connected to where their food comes from. In addition to his work at Newman Farm, he is actively engaged in supporting American agriculture and strengthening the future of the pork industry. Please welcome David Newman.
What's that? Oh, good. Okay. Thank you. All right. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Hello. Good afternoon, everyone. All right. Well, Kelly, thank you for the introduction, and thanks for the opportunity also to come and speak today and really just share our story. So this morning I was thinking through this, putting together some slides, and just thinking about what a great opportunity it was to get an invite, because it's not very often actually that we get together, we get the opportunity to really tell our story, what we do here locally. Matter of fact, we tell this story quite often, and I'll share this with you here in just a little bit, all over the rest of the country where we do a lot of our business, but very seldom do we actually get to tell the story, because if you've never been to Myrtle, Missouri, there's not a lot of people to tell the story to really understand. But the opportunity was great, and really I do appreciate it, kind of humbled to get the opportunity to come today. But the goal is really to probably just ground you in our story and what we did as a family, and then now as a business that is growing over the last 20 or 30 years. So I'm going to try not to make this very academic, and I do have some disclaimers that come in here in just a minute. But I also want to start with something kind of fun, because for those of you who, I'm just assuming by the list of people in the room that not all of you are probably very familiar with the pork business. So obviously something very near and dear to me, and has been a huge part of my career over the last 30 years. But while I'm going to share with you this story about what we do, then I also want to let you know some questions that I thought I would tee it up. And I would say, did you know, actually, that at one time, Howe and Oregon County was actually the epicenter of the United States pig business? Who knew that? Oh, all of you. Okay. All right. Okay. So one person, why did they call this the feeder pig capital of the world? That was what they call West Plains, Missouri. Anybody? There's a cool U.S. pork pin in it if you answer this question, because I'm always on brand. Why did they call it the feeder pig capital of the world? Oh, that's a great question. All right, a great answer. All right, so the answer was because of Pig Paul. Okay, raise your hand if you know who Pig Paul was. All right, well, so I did not meet Pig until he was an old man, and he's passed away now. But I have learned one thing over the years: anybody who ever met this guy never forgot him. That is pretty sure. And the reason Pig Paul is famous is because he was one of the founding members of what is now the National Pork Producers Council in the United States. So Paul, that's actually what he did. He spent a lot of time trying to promote pork in the United States. He actually started a very, very famous program in the United States in 1967 that was called Nickels for Profit. where every time a producer sold a pig, they put a nickel into a checking account, and they used that nickel for things kind of like Osby, actually. They used the nickel to promote pork, and it could only be used for pork promotion. And he started the nickel, and the nickel became a dime, and the dime became 35 cents, and today it's about $150 million a year that goes into that pool that can be used for research, promotion, and education. So it's a very interesting story. It was started and rooted right here in this region. And this was the epicenter because at one time, prior to the industry making this huge shift, which I'll explain to you later, really a lot of the sows, a lot of the females, were raised here in the Ozarks. So they didn't finish a lot of pigs here because we don't have corn and soybeans, but a lot of the sows, just because of the I would say super high quality land we have around here, but I won't say that, is very suitable to the type of production that dominated the industry back in the 1950s, 60s, and 70s. So they held a national feeder pig sale here, and so there's more pins in this, and we're going to go one at a time on this picture. So maybe our representatives from the United States government in the back will know this. Who is the individual on the left-hand side of the screen? Okay, Kit Bond. All right, so at that time, Governor of Missouri, then became Senator Kit Bond, right? Very, very influential, okay? Now, who is the person in the middle? Okay, so this is not an old joke, by the way, but I'm just guessing that everybody like me under 45 said, I have no idea who that is. Les Nessman, okay, who was in WKRP Cincinnati, right? So that's Les Nessman. Who said Les Nessman? Just half the room. What's that? Half the room? Yeah. Okay, good job, CJ. Now, who is this? Who said that? Arnold. So anybody watch Green Acres? Okay, so what do all three of those things have in common? So every year in the 1970s, they had the National Feeder Pig Show here in West Plains. All three of these individuals were guests at one point in time at the National Feeder Pig Sale. And Les Nessman, in the very first episode of WKRP Cincinnati, was given an award on the show for his meritorious hog reporting. And then he was invited to come to West Plains and speak at the National Feeder Pig Sale, where they gave him the Silver Sow Award, which was an award that and I think my mom actually received the Silver Sow Award at some point in time as well. That is a speaking flow when you don't put a picture of your own mother receiving the award. But, okay, so it was a big deal. Actually, in this area, just to put into perspective how big the industry was here, between Howell and Morgan County, at one point in time, there were more than 10,000 producers. It was a huge business between these two counties. So in other words, pretty much everybody who remembers this day, if you were in farming then, somebody at least had a handful of sows, right? And now if you look at the business, a lot of those people, when they started to exit the business as it changed over time, then got into the cattle business, right, which obviously dominates this region now. So it's pretty interesting. But another interesting stat, 10,000 down to 1. Because minus very, very small operations, there's actually only one, what we would call commercial operation between the two counties, and that's ours. So the business has taken a dramatic shift, and I'll explain some of that here in just a minute to say, what do we think about when we think about growing beyond the Ozarks? And what I'm going to tell you is from our standpoint, it was really built out of necessity, right? It started as something necessity, which is as an entrepreneur and a business owner too, I say we're kind of constantly evolving and changing over time. And you just never know what's going to happen. And I'll give you some examples that you will all relate with, I think, very well. But I'm an absolute believer, first, that growing beyond the Ozarks is very hard, it's very difficult, but it's very possible. So I'm a total believer that you can scale over time, and it doesn't have to be just out of necessity. I think it's also out of opportunity. Because if you take, for example, what we have here in this region, it is a really powerful thing. Now, it's not all I'll also tell you something else. My wife's going to relate to this very strongly here in just a minute. But when you're asked to put together a presentation and then you realize, my kids are not this age anymore. My daughter just turned 11 yesterday. My son is 13, 6 foot tall with a size 14 shoe now. So we really need to get some new family photos. So if any of you are a small business photographer, please find us after the show, and we will be the first people to stimulate the economy in the area around a photographer. But when I say we believe, I'm really not just talking about me. I'm talking about our family. Much of my family is here today, but we are a family. We're a family operation. We have employees here in Myrtle, or in Myrtle, which for those of you who don't know is about 45 miles southeast of here. We have deep roots in agriculture. So my wife grew up in Jeff City. We met at the University of Missouri-Columbia, go Tigers, where we actually met the very first day of college at Mizzou, and there I pursued an undergraduate degree in animal science, and then went on, lived away from the Ozarks for about 15 years, and when people ask me, what is the best piece of advice you've ever gotten, this is the honest truth. So a guy told me one time, he said, David, I know you love it here in the Ozarks, I know you like it in this Myrtle area, everything else. He said, but I'm going to give you a piece of advice. Go find a way to make money, become an entrepreneur, business, something else, right? And then as fast as you can, figure out a way to get back. And so I spent 15 years with my wife and our family away. I was an academic at one point, don't hold that against me. I was a professor in all places of North Dakota State University, where I did a PhD in meat science, muscle biology. And yes, meat science is a real thing. So, but as soon as we could get back here, we took the opportunity to move our family back. We're our family farming operation, and this is kind of where we are today. So I'm going to hopefully not get too many bullet points. Some of my slides do, but they're just for reference to say, who are we today? So I'm really proud of where we have landed as a brand and as a family today. And honestly, I think this would probably shock even our next door neighbors in Myrtle to understand the scale because of what we do outside of Oregon and Howell County, Missouri. So today we have a consortium of farms. So we have our main farm in Myrtle, Missouri, but we actually have about 9 other farms scattered throughout Missouri, one in Illinois, where we raise pigs. We have total production of about 1,000 Berkshire female sows. So we handle on a weekly basis about 25 to 30,000 pounds of product. So when we think about moving pork and pork items, in the grand scheme of things, that is actually very, very small in today's business. But we run a very unique niche operation. We have a branded program under the Newman Farm Heritage Berkshire Pork brand you see there in the middle. My wife runs the Farmer's Daughter in Thayer, Missouri. Shameless plug. It's on Front Street. You should visit sometime. Okay. We also work very closely with a brand called Heritage Foods USA. So we distribute product throughout the United States. Just to give you a perspective, on a weekly basis, we do fresh business in each one of those pins. So a lot of business on the East Coast. New York City especially is a huge business area for us. We do a lot of business in Memphis, St. Louis, Chicago, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Las Vegas. Memphis, I said that one already. And when you ask ChatGPT to actually put your sales map together, it has no concept of where Alton, Missouri is. It has Alton here, and Alton's here, but that's okay. The power of technology is very amazing. So we do a distribution model where we raise a lot of pigs here. We process all of our livestock actually just north of Kansas City, Missouri. So 52 weeks a year, we have trucks running up and down the road that are actually delivering livestock. We do an e-commerce business as well, where we actually have a distribution model that moves into mostly, think white tablecloth restaurants, but also into small butcher shops, also into some retail stores. But it is an all-fresh business on the food service side of the business, meaning all the restaurant business is fresh. So we process in Kansas City, That product is then put on trucks and distributed throughout the country. Right now, which is insanely expensive, all of you that are hauling anything know how painful diesel prices are on the business. And when you run a business that relies almost solely on rubber tires and diesel, it is a very interesting model to think about how you try to distribute those costs into a pound of meat, right? So really trying to measure that. Now, we also do the e-commerce business where we ship, and all of that is based out of Myrtle. So I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that story here in just a minute. But, and there's a huge but here, and this is the disclaimer, because everything is easier in hindsight to tell a story that looks really awesome and looks really successful, okay? And I'm very, very proud of where we have come, but it was not easy. Right? It's still an ongoing battle. All of you in small business know this, right? So my disclaimer is the story is going to sound really great because it's a great story to tell, and it's the story of our family and our business, and I'm going to walk you through some of that, but also say, like, it's very real, it's very raw, things can change very, very quickly. You all know that. I mean, the market dynamics, the way they change, especially in my perspective as a business person is, it is one of the hardest times ever to get into small business. And that is why I think Osby is such a great thing. I mean, Kristen works a lot more with Osby than I do, because I like peddle meat for a living. And we both do, right? We always, our joke is we never go anywhere without meat in the back. Okay? And if you know us, that is the truth, okay? So it's a lesson, I hope, and so it's not the model. I'm not going to say it's the model of success, it's just our model. And so I think it's a good story to tell because it's a description of kind of the do's and the don'ts, maybe even a little bit of the good, the bad, and the ugly. So one of my favorite quotes also from Ernest Hemingway, right? How did you go broke? 2 ways. Slowly, then all of a sudden. Right? So I talked about this need for change, right? And we talked about how West Plains is this huge epicenter of the pig business, all right? Why was it the feeder pig capital? We talked about all those things. But in and around 1979, 1980 especially, that was on the front side of the farm crisis of the 1980s, all right? So by the way, we're now on the front side of a farm crisis today. All the commodity prices, all the commodity groups, pretty much with the exception of one. The only people who are not crying a river right now are cow-calf operators. Everybody else is struggling, right, to figure out how they're going to be profitable. Soybean, corn, cotton, sorghum, pork, poultry. It's because it's a very dynamic and fluctuating business. So when the business shifted from this region, it shifted primarily into the central part of the United States, right? Why did it all shift basically to Iowa? It's because you were closer to the feed, right? Which is why the dynamic had to change. And I would say that between 1979 and 1999, there were more changes that happened in agriculture, period, than have almost happened in any time frame in history. And I can just show it to you, this chart, because I am a science nerd at the end of the day. You don't have to worry about what this chart says, but anything above the black line is profit. Anything below the black line is a loss, okay? And if you've ever heard, right, the livestock or agriculture business, has anybody ever heard it's very cyclical? Yeah, it's very cyclical, right? So you win, you lose, you win, you lose. I mean, there's all these memes, right, that people talk about, that farming is the only business where you can have, like, you know, $150,000 in your bank account one day, like $10 the next day, $200,000 the next day, and then negative $74 the fourth day. And that's actually true for all of ag, because the swings are very big. What happened in our business, in this industry, was we actually did not shift our production to Iowa, right? So we came back here, and I'm going to show you a timeline in just a minute, in the early 1990s. But in the late 1990s, the pig business got decimated. And it didn't matter where you were. If you see this loss, it says that during 1999, the average producer lost $65 a head. Okay, so followed up by another very big down cycle. After about the time we had started to launch our brand, this Newman Farm brand, on our own, the industry took another big down cycle. Okay, this was a supply and demand issue. This is actually when they enacted E15 or ethanol. and feed costs got very high in the industry, and demand was not very strong, and the pig business got gutted again, and then it happened again 2 years ago in 2023. Okay, so saying the cyclical nature of the business is very true. The problem is today is that the peaks and valleys are too deep, right? We love the peaks, but the valleys are too deep and they're too wide for too long. And that was actually where, as a family, we don't focus on how it's not, someone would probably say this is a very, very busy slide. What I say is that from our business standpoint and where we're at today, the idea is that you cannot survive those deep, long valleys. So something that the cyclical nature of the business is still going to be there because we don't know the price of corn, what it's going to be a year from now or 2 years from now. The breeding decisions we're making on our farm right now, today, are about a product that we're going to sell 12 months from now. Right? So anybody in any other business would tell you that was crazy. Right? When you think about investing all your money into a product that you can't sell for a year. And that's what we do, right, in the ag business. So the idea for us as a family was to kind of take some of that, flatten the curve a little bit, right? Try to take some of that out. And you've heard everybody say a million times, right, cut the middleman. Well, cutting the middleman is very hard, okay? So it's very, very difficult. So I'm just going to back you up. I'm not going to spend a lot of time here because I would rather spend more time just giving you my observations about how we grew, but to say, this is something that I'm really proud of. I put it together just to say, like, wow, we're kind of survivors, 1991, we started the pig operation here in Myrtle. My parents had been in the pig business for years and years before that, here in the West Plains area and around the rest of the country. 98, that's the pork industry collapse over on the side, and so that's whenever we kind of said, like, hey, this is the definition of insanity. And so if you put it no other way, that Ernest Hemingway quote, the valley was too deep, too wide for too long. And that has an incredibly consequential impact on anybody's business, right? And so we realized either you're going to be different or you're going to be out of the business. Do something different, right? So this is when we made the switch to Berkshire, and I'll say that in just a minute. So I still say Berkshire sometimes, sorry Mom, but it's like, who says Missouri? Who says Missouri? Okay, who says Missouri? Missouri? Raise your hand, Missouri. Okay, so I have a question. If you're from Missouri, I'm going to steal somebody else's line here. Do you eat broccoli? Anyway, all right. I also say Shire because a little pig fact, any pig breed that ends in the last word of Shire has erect ears. So if you ever get a Jeopardy question on what breed is this, the first thing you need to look at other than color is whether their ears are up or their ears are down, okay? So we switched to Berkshire, and I'll talk about this in just a minute because we said, you know what, being in the commodity business does not work for us. We're too far from the grain, we're too far from the people, and we still are today. The story, if we were going to try to start this today, would be the exact same story. If we were just selling a commodity product, there is no money without scale. You would have to scale. I mean, the last commercial sow barn that I cash flowed, as an entrepreneur, I once owned a consulting business, and I worked for tons of companies who were building out pig businesses. The last sow barn that I cash flowed broke even at 7,000 sows in one site. Okay, so today the number's about 11,000 females per building to cash flow break even. Okay, so when times are good, they're good. You get a lot of pigs out of that. When times are bad, they're devastating. Okay, so we switched to Berks, and essentially our story is we went for quality over quantity. Right, get away from the business of trying to just supply the market with a product that is perfectly fine. It's not about throwing the other product under the bus either. It's a story of saying, like, can we do something that will truly differentiate us? So we switched over to trying to build a local brand. Okay, so obviously in 1991 I was not this size or this age. Okay, so I was just a kid during this time. The year 2000, so it's actually the year I graduated high school, is about the time that our family made the decision to make this switch, okay, and then started building a brand. My dad used to say all the time that you just spent a copious amount of money learning how to do things the wrong way, okay? And I think all of us in small business can relate to that, right? So that's, I think, just kind of the nature of business, because I've never learned better lessons than being taught them with my wallet, right? You lose enough money, you'll eventually start to change your behavior and change your pattern, okay? So we switched over into this business. We tried retail, and especially we tried retail. That's a whole nother story. You can ask me a question later. Don't do that, okay? Too much competition from too many people who are too much bigger than you are. I think there is more opportunity today because there's a lot of small craft niche stores who carry local products. That wasn't a thing in the 1990s, right? That wasn't a thing in the year 2000. Actually, I would say a brand like ours was about 25 to 30 years ahead of its time, okay? Because today, you hear a lot about local craft stories. You didn't hear that in the 1990s, you know? You didn't hear that in the early 2000s. So we switched over. I put this thing in there that says the letter. What does the letter mean? So we switched the business. My dad literally wrote a handwritten letter to this guy, Patrick Martins. I have some pictures of him here in just a minute. He wrote a letter saying, hey, we raise these Berkshire pigs. We live in Myrtle, Missouri in the Ozarks, but these are superior quality genetics. They have great eating quality. This guy, Patrick, who we're very close business partners with today, responded back. He had just came from Italy and started a program in New York City called Slow Foods USA, okay, which is still around and it's very big in Italy. And he was trying to build a niche brand to kind of capitalize on some of these small business ventures like what this is. So he says, hey, you know what? Yeah, I'll try it. So what are we going to do? He says, well, let's kill 20 hogs, okay? I suppose the word kill doesn't get used a lot at Ozzy things, but anyway. In the meat business, by the way, it's all French words because they sound better. You know, in English, they say slaughterhouse. In French, they say abattoir. Okay, they're the same thing. Okay, so we could harvest the pig, we could kill the pig, but either way, that's what we do. So we killed a very small group, right? They turned out very, very good. It started to bring some national awareness to the brand. You know, we went from 25 to 30, 35 to 40, and that number has just grown exponentially over the years, okay? Also, what almost all small farms do that try to break into niche, we tackle the farmer's market, okay? And everybody and anybody, how many of you have done a farmer's market? Okay. I don't have that many pens, but you know how hard it is, right? Early mornings, you don't know what the weather's going to be. How do I price this? You have no idea how many people are going to show up. And the truth is, while it's a really great model, if we talked about growing beyond the Ozarks, it wasn't a long-term sustainable model because no one wants to get up at 1 o'clock in the morning every Saturday for perpetuity. Right? Eventually, it was like, okay, I think we can scale. We can think about this. So I'm just fast-forwarding down the timeline to say in 2015, my wife and I had that opportunity I mentioned about moving back to the farm. So that's the generational change. We had a transition there where we took over the operation. And in the next 5 years, we scaled the business about 4x. So we built a much stronger business with Heritage Foods. We built out a much stronger business when it came to e-commerce, and we all know what happened in 2020, which I have a story about that here in just a minute. When COVID-19 hit, we transitioned. So at this time, I would say 2019 was an awesome year. I mean, we were just ginning along, and we were making money. We were processing tons of livestock. You know, we were huge in the lamb business of all things at that time. In 2019, we processed like 1,500 lambs. In 2021, I think we did 5. Because the lamb business is all restaurant business, okay, primarily. So we're ginning along great, and then the whole world stops. So we have all these semis full of fresh product. I'll go ahead and tell the story now. And they're in New York City. They're on the West Coast. This is a normal Monday morning distribution thing for us. So the trucks are out, they're going, and this guy calls me, Patrick calls me, and this is a true story, and you now know I love stories, but he's a Jewish pork salesman. He's Jewish, and he's our best salesman, without question. This guy could literally sell ice to the Eskimos. He would be a great speaker here someday because he would motivate you, okay? So Patrick calls me, and he says, hey, we have a problem. And I said, okay, what's the problem? And he says, well, we can't bring the product in. Now, this is our lifeline, okay, every week. And I'm like, what do you mean you can't bring it? Well, they can't get it across the Jersey where we do this cross-docking. We just can't get it there. And I said, why? And he says, because apparently New York City is shut down. And I'm like, no one shuts a city. What does that even mean? You shut a city down? Well, it turns out you can shut a city down, right? So we bring all the product back to Kansas City, back to the plant, which is all packaged for food service. So it's 15-pound bags of bacon. It's 25-pound bags of pork loins. All this stuff that doesn't sell well at a farmer's market, right? It's all big bulk items, something we built to. So that day, it's like, okay, what are we going to do? All right, what are we going to do? We're going to panic first. We did. Big time. We panicked, right? Because it's like, okay, well, this is it. This is literally the end of our business. We were 100% in food service. But this is where I say this, the most important thing to learn in small business is to be resilient. And you better love what you do, because if we didn't love it, we probably would have quit, right? And we didn't. So instead, the next day, we hired a marketing agency. Literally, we hired an agency. We built an e-commerce platform. We built a Shopify website. We completely transitioned our business in 8 days from 100% food service to 100% online e-commerce. That was a pivot. That was a pivot, okay? That was a huge pivot for us, right? And then I'll tell you, we actually went back to kind of a farmer's market model. So one of our banks that we use is based out of Jonesboro, and my banker, of course, the very first thing that happens when the whole world shuts down, your banker calls you. Bankers know this, right? And what was great, actually, is this was a conversation. He's like, hey, you know what? I just want to let you know, it'll be okay. Because in 2008, when the whole world collapsed, right, he's like, we have models in place now to say, we're not going to panic. Okay, so we're going to see what happens here. But as we're talking about it, then at some point he's like, but do you have any bacon? And I'm like, yes, I do. Would you like 15 pounds? I have all the bacon you need, okay? But in the middle of this, he says, maybe we should figure this out. He's like, we have 15 bank locations that are closed. And he's like, if you need them for any reason, you can have them. You can use them. And so we said, well, here's the deal. Everybody had this 6 foot of contact distance. We didn't know what to do. We had reefer trucks. We had walk-in freezers full of meat, right? Everybody was panicking. So instead, we started taking online e-commerce orders, talk about a pivot, and we would take the orders online. You paid online. We built your box. So we built boxes all night long, every night. Our staff we never worked harder than we worked during COVID, right? So we build boxes all night long. We stack them inside of reefer trucks with people's names on them. We drive to the banks, which is genius, because they can only go one way in, one way out. You never leave your car. You've got a mobile app that we build, and when they show up, it says, hey, this person's driving through the bank. They pull up, they pop the trunk of the car, they have a number, you have a number, and you set the box in the back, and you close it. And we did that for a year and a half. Year and a half. And I mean, I have some great pictures of, like, we were doing it in Memphis, we were doing it in St. Louis, we were doing it at all the bank locations. So it was a pivot, right? A very, very interesting pivot for us that spoke to the need for us to still carry those local accounts. So one of the questions that was asked was, how did you break through nationally, but then how do you keep your local business and work with your local community? Because we do a lot of business here in this area too. We do business with restaurants in West Plains, with some retail here in West Plains. We do business in Alton. We do business in Thayer. While it's not, a 5-star Michelin restaurant or a James Beard Award winner in New York City or Napa Valley, those were still really important to us, and it kind of brought us back to our roots. And so one of the questions was just, how do you break through the national scene? The first thing I think is focus very intently on quality. So in my office above the desk, there's something on the wall that just says, quality pork, no shortcuts. Really focus in on the fact that when you raise livestock, and especially if you've ever been in the agriculture business, if you raise purebred livestock, they grow slower than commercial crossbreds do. Okay, so if you're in the Wagyu business, you could especially understand where I'm at, right? A Wagyu beef, which is superior quality, takes 3 to 3.5 years to raise to maturity versus 18 months for a commercial steer. Okay, a Berkshire pig, which is known the world over for superior meat quality. We're kind of the Wagyu of pork. Okay, they take about 7 months to raise, from the time you're born to the time we process them. So you take all this in. That's the model of saying it's a year from the date, because a sow is bred. Pregnancy of a pig, anybody? 333, that's right. 3 months, 3 weeks, 3 days. You never forget that, okay? It's 113 days. So when you add that up, right, but we knew that if we were going to make this business, we would have to differentiate. And we would have to do something different. And that meant focusing on quality over quantity, unquestionably. And we still do it to this day. So a purebred breed that makes superior quality, because at the end of the day, that's what the customer expects from us, right? They expect a really great eating experience over and over and over again. We built incredibly strong relationships with chefs. We spend a lot of time in New York City. We spend a lot of time in different places throughout the United States. Every fall, for example, in September, if you want to join us, we do this big, huge pig roast out on the street in Brooklyn, and we have 500 to 1,000 people who come, and we use that as an opportunity to engage with people there, to engage with our chefs. We hosted a farm party every May for years, up until COVID-19, when the whole world kind of stopped and people stopped traveling. It was really a thing to say, we want you to come to our farm and experience what we do. And so we brought chefs in. Well, since COVID, everything is still kind of out of sorts. Traveling's expensive. People aren't worried about the disease factor anymore, but everyone is still trying to recover financially from COVID. Everyone. And especially the restaurant business, you know, which dynamically changed, and we can talk about that here in just a minute. But we built these really strong relationships with chefs. We told our story no less than 1,000 times, so you now know probably this is not the first time I've told this story, right? No less than 1,000 times. My dad's saying used to be, and I still think it's true for us, right? When we wanted to get into a business, we want to work with a restaurant or anything else, we don't call, we don't email, we walk in the back door. Because you won't get anywhere calling or emailing them. You walk in the back door and find somebody who's cooking in the back, and you talk about your product, you tell them who you are, you shake your hand, you make that one-on-one connection, and that really builds it. And I want to talk about that in just a minute, but then you have to back up your words with a product they actually want, right? Anybody will buy something from you one time. But the question is what, can you get a repeat purchase, right? And when you're in the food service business and you're trying to sell the restaurant, nothing ever trumps a standing order, right? Somebody who orders 10 cases of this every week, 52 weeks a year, is our dream customer over and over again, right? So we built these strong relationships. We created a consistent message. You know, if you see, if you've ever seen our social media feed on Facebook or Instagram or anything else, of course we utilize social media. You know, it's always about being family-centered, telling the story, but then always coming back to a superior product, right? Here's where you can find it, we can ship it, we can do this easy. We began very intentional marketing. So I mentioned hiring an agency for our e-commerce brand. That was a big next step, but I will tell you, that is still to this day something that we struggle with figuring out because it's so expensive. Agency fees are ridiculous. How is AI going to change? I think AI is going to absolutely revolutionize the small business world. We already utilize it for tons of things. Way beyond just marketing, by the way. Just everyday tools, right, that can save us time or save us money. Not necessarily save employees, but save us time, save us money. So we started this intentional marketing. One of the things we do is we use an email service called Klaviyo. If you guys don't use Klaviyo, I mean, it's just a standard email marketing. So it's Mother's Day, it's Father's Day, it's 4th of July. It's shameless marketing over and over and over again to keep reminding people in this world of nonstop communication that we're still here, we're still in business, we still have this great product, and since we have years of history behind it, that was really important for us, okay? And then I would say most importantly, we had the willingness to be different. And that actually may be the hardest part, observationally, for some people to get over. Because all of our neighbors think that we are crazy. Okay? Most of our friends think we're crazy. Oh, sure. Some of my family sitting right here in the front row, they probably think we're crazy from time to time, right? But you've got to really be different, because being different means you're differentiating yourself from everybody else. Right? So whatever business you're in, if you're doing the same thing everybody else is doing, you're probably years behind already. Right? Just trying to replicate someone else's model and copy their pricing. And my wife and I talk about this all the time because we have seen no less than 100 competitors who have walked in the same doors with the same chefs and said, I hear you guys have Newman. We have the same thing as Newman has, and it's cheaper. And then they call me and they say, hey, so-and-so came by, and they have the same thing, and it's cheaper. And I said, good for you. I said, I can tell you two things, though. One, we know our price, and they can't do it cheaper, okay? And two, don't call me in 3 months when they can't supply you every week, because we're going to move on to someone else. And that power took a long time for us to actually achieve. But today it's like, you know what, you want to leave, you come and go. We don't come and go from our business every day, right? So we kind of ask them to make a commitment. And before anyone asks, we do not have a single contract in our business. We don't have a single signed contract with one of our suppliers, with one of our distributors, right? It is literally still the way that I think the world can work. It's still built on trust. Right? You trust me, I trust you, we're going to deliver your product, and yes, things are going to get totally screwed up, but as long as we communicate on it, we'll be fine, okay? So that willingness to be different is really important. And I mentioned this pivot often, and I put it in at the bottom, not always because we wanted to. You know, the easiest thing to do is stay with status quo. We didn't want to pivot in 1998, but we did. We didn't want to pivot during COVID, but we did. And I'm going to say this at the end is, the truth of the matter is, it actually made us better. Every time we got challenged more and we had a huge problem we had to solve, we got better. But I wanted to share something kind of fun with you because I think something else that's important when you put yourself out there and you think about chasing a national brand is everybody's looking for that one breakthrough moment, right? Today on the internet, I think they call that going viral, right? You get one famous person, right? I mean, what I would pay to get The Rock to say something about Newman Farm Heritage Commercial Report, the most famous male in the world, except for Donald Trump, okay? That is a price we can't pay, okay? But we had this moment that all started with writing this handwritten letter, calling these chefs up, going in the back door of the restaurant, and I want to show you this, and this will tell you the age by how grainy this is, okay? Oh, okay. So it says Martha Stewart, and it's not that form of Martha Stewart. Okay, so here we go.
Okay, so let's cook. This is the Berkshire pork. This is Tim Newman and Newman Farms in Missouri. It's a 6'5" Berkshire pig, pasture-raised, no antibiotics, and you start off with a really good pork belly. You don't have to do that much to it. So this is the belly. This is the under part of the belly of the pig. But now notice there's still a lot of fat on here. That stays, right? That stays. A lot of it's going to come down anyways. And if you start mixing a half a cup of sugar and a half a cup of coarse salt or kosher salt. So this is like you run there on? Yes. And it's quick cure, and you want to put it on here. Pour it out? Yeah, pour it on, we'll rub it in.
Okay. We go on, because they already said our name, and that's all that matters in this story. The recipe doesn't matter, okay? Now, that was a breakthrough moment for us. So that was 2007. And we were, nobody from my family, Mom, you're going to jump in here. I feel it, okay? So, anybody know who that guy is? Anybody know who that guy is? What's that?
Dave Chang.
Yes, David Chang. Very good. Here's your pen. All right. Okay. All right, so who is David Chang? David Chang is one of the most famous chefs in the world. Okay, and he owns a restaurant called Momofuku. That's a mouthful. Okay, there's Momofuku Sambar. There's all different kinds of Momofukus. He has them from New York City to Sydney to Hong Kong, all over the world. So he's a very famous chef. He has more than 15 million Instagram followers. And he's impossible today to hire as an influencer, right? So when you have somebody who's an influencer, becomes famous, who uses your brand for free, that was huge, okay? All that matters is he got the farm name right. I do want to clarify, there has never been a Tim Newman in our family ever. There is no Tim Newman, but he did get Newman Farm, and we're like, thank you, God. Okay, so it's right. From that day forward, literally, people started calling, orders started pouring in, going to New York City restaurants. Everybody wanted to know who this David Chang guy was, and it was really like kind of a launching off point. And then that caught on. Then we were featured on Diners, Drive-In, and Dives, right, for free. Also a Guy Fieri a video in Memphis, Tennessee, right? And now today, and this is something I'll bring back here in just a minute, is to say, like, because it's so hard, like, what's that one thing if you're dead broke or dead tired that kind of energizes you to stay in the business? And this is no question for us all the time. It's when you go into a restaurant or someone sends you a text, right, and they're like, hey, I'm at this place, where else? And they send you a picture of the menu, and your name is on it, right? And that restaurant is somewhere else in the world, and you're like, okay, that's pretty cool. You know, I just had somebody last weekend who sent me a message from one of the restaurants over near the landing in Branson, and he had no idea, once again, one of our neighbors, and he's like, hey, I'm eating at this restaurant in Branson, and it was one of Johnny Morris's places over there. But anyways, he's like, your name's on the menu. Like, this is you guys? He says, it says Myrtle, Missouri name. I'm like, well, there's only one Newman Farm in Myrtle, right? But whenever we're feeling down, or we're watching a down market, or we watch all these other things, I think there needs to be one thing that kind of pulls you back, right? To say, like, hey, we're doing this for the right reason. We're not just doing this for the money, right? And how do we get it done? And so the biggest and first and most important thing is our entire business is built on relationships. So that David Chang comment there in the bottom, the farm parties, our team up here in the top left, that's a walk-in freezer in total disarray during COVID-19 because people are pulling stuff out of boxes and packaging stuff at negative 20 degrees. That's Sarah Jane Beecham, who is our operations manager for our farm. You know, our employees are not family members. Our employees are not family members. They're employees, right? They become like family, but they're not all family. So, and they work hard and believe in the same mission we do. This guy, this is Patrick. This is the Jewish pork salesman here between my son and Sarah Jane. An amazing guy. Something that I think is very cool about this relationship that started in 1999. These are now Patrick's kids and our kids. Taken in our house. So once a year, we go to New York City, our kids, terrifying, because Patrick's kids take my kids, and they're like, hey, we're going to go hop on the subway and go down to, 132nd Street, where else? And we're like, no, you're not. No, you're not, because I read the news. People murder people on the subway in New York City, and these kids are just running everywhere, and they're going, and then once a year, Patrick brings his kids down to the farm and is absolutely terrified by everything from the dark, the quiet, the lack of light, the lack of noise, the snakes, the Sasquatches, all the things, right? So, and this is our whole family up here on the top right. But relationships built the business, and truthfully, relationships built the national reach. I would say that the best compliment I ever got, there was this very famous chef in New York City. He's still there, runs the longest standing lunch venue in New YorkIty, which has been there forever. And we're talking about families like the Eisenhowers, the Hiltons, now the Clintons, the Obamas. The last time I was there, I looked down and Hillary Clinton is eating lunch. Mrs. Hilton, who is still alive, that's like Hilton Hotels Hilton, has had a sitting table there for 60 years. Okay? And the chef Carbone is his name, that's very Italian, he comes out of the back, and we were shooting this video documentary about our business that was really kind of celebrating all the things we do, and it was all fanfare for a website, things like that, and Patrick asked the chef on camera, we're on the camera on there together, and he says to the guy, he says, hey, why do you use Newman? These guys buy like 30 cases of country ribs a week from us, standing order. Okay? Totally awesome. So he says, why do you guys use Newman? And he says, I won't tell you exactly what he said. I won't use his exact words because if you've ever been around a chef, they have a very colorful vocabulary. He says, I don't care about Newman. I do not care. He said, we fly our cheese in daily from Italy. We fly our seafood in daily from these places on the coast. We only buy these oysters from Washington State. Blah, blah, blah. He says, we just work with Newman because it's the best. And And Patrick like felt insulted, and I said, that is literally the best compliment I've ever gotten, because it wasn't about the story anymore, right? It wasn't about the story. It was actually about the brand, right? And we had something that was reputable. And it just says people buy the story before the product, and that's true. And in this digital world we live in, everybody has a really awesome Facebook, Instagram, right? I mean, TikTok, all the things, which are very, very important to marketing. But if you don't focus on those relationships, they won't buy twice, right? So you have to back your story up with a really consistent, good product. And I know that may not fit everybody's business model here, but I mean, we talk about product quality all the time, you know, made in the USA, not made in China, all of the pieces. And in this case for us, it was, hey, we actually have something that's clearly different. We're going to celebrate that, and then we're going to repeat this process with you and become customers. Many of those customers, like David Chang, has been a customer for 15 years. We don't even really visit them very much. We don't send a rep into their restaurant every day. We have a large restaurant business in the Memphis area, a family that grew along the same time that we grew, and these people get hounded by reps every day. And when they come in, there's a standing rule in Memphis, Tennessee. We do a lot of business there. All the chefs will say the same thing. You can sell me anything. You can sell me toilet paper, you can sell me soap, you can sell me beef, you can sell me chicken, but you don't touch the pork, and if you even try, you leave. And I don't know how. Yes, okay, to win. But it was also built on really strong relationships, you know, and us focusing, again, this was a lot of stuff we did during COVID and still we do on our website, right? I mean, air fryer, fun fact, there's more air fryers in American homes now than there is coffee makers. So if you're in the meat business, you better stop cutting 20-pound pieces of meat because they don't fit in an air fryer, right? Portion size matters. Cut size matters because young people don't cook the way that the older generation cooks. So you've got to learn to adapt and read and learn and get involved in all of that, okay? I put all these on there. Way too many bullet points. You can read them. I'd be happy to send this to you as well. I want to do a time check as well.
Here, about
10 minutes. It's okay. Yeah, and if it's less than that, you just give me the hook and I will leave, right? Because I don't need to read all of them. I just want to say like a handful. It's kind of, I was thinking this morning, is this like the 10 rules to live by? When we think about successful business, or at least attempting to be successful, and I think first is you got to focus on your customer just relentlessly, almost ruthlessly, when you think about building that relationship. And for us, it was always about making sure we didn't cut everybody else down around us, because that's not good for business, right? Our pork's better than Joe's pork because, you know, it's this. We say it's just, hey, we're going to be consistent. We're going to be consistent, we're going to get this to you, right? And that scalable piece is very important because I mentioned this story about quality over quantity. You still have to scale with your customer though. Because in our business, because we are supplying those chefs, like that Carbone guy who says, right, I don't care their name, I just care about their best. To scale, to have enough product to consistently give somebody the exact same thing 52 weeks a year is incredibly difficult. Because that means we have to be literally thinking about a breeding schedule, a delivery schedule, a processing schedule, 52 weeks a year. We haul pigs every Sunday, every Monday, 52 weeks a year, 365 days a year. The heritage pigs go out at X time, the St. Louis pigs go out at X time. I'm saying things that our knows very well, right? We do cross-stock now, like we work with 2 large food service distributors here in the Midwest. That covers about 24 states in the Midwest for us. We tried owning our own reefers. We tried owning our own distribution. Don't do that, ever. Okay? That is a black hole that you just get lost in, okay? We actually started working with partners to do a lot of that for us because we were wearing employees out, we were wearing out equipment, we were spending way too much money, and then at the end of the day, we were spending less time telling our story, right, and getting business, and more time driving in a Zuzu cab over. And if you've ever driven a Zuzu cab over, you will never forget that either, okay? The marketing piece matters, telling the story, doing things that make you uncomfortable. There was a time where I wouldn't have been comfortable standing here and talking about our story and talking about how proud we are where it has come over the years. And again, I mean, when you visit with other people and you try to explain all the things we do about having this store, right, in 2021, when Kristen started The Farmer's Daughter, also out of necessity. Because COVID had shut the world down, we launched this e-commerce business in 8 days, and then it's like, gosh, you know what, like, Kristen said, I've always wanted, we had this warehouse down there, she's like, I've always wanted to have a retail store. I'm like, what a great time to tell that story, you know, like, why not? We're already incredibly deep in this at the moment, so we might as well do that too. And now, locally, the Farmer's Daughter is our #1 customer. Because they're two different business entities, right? The Farmer's Daughter sells more of our pork locally than any of our other customers. So we created a consumer. And Kristen deals with all these other local vendors of beef and honey and all different kinds of things. She can tell you about that later. But the point is, we diversify, we try to become different, right? I don't know, I was putting this together at 5 in the morning, and I felt the need to put major in red. Because you will hit major roadblocks. Financially, right? You're going to hit major roadblocks, especially if you're in agriculture. It's coming. If it's not already there, it's coming. You're going to hit roadblocks with customers who just leave you and abandon you, right? This authentic storytelling, I think, is so crucially important because the world is yearning for authenticity now, and especially in the world of AI. Nobody believes anything that is AI generated, and you know it because you scroll right past it in your social media feeds. You know when it's AI generated, right? And marketers are trying to figure that out. Authenticity still sells. They want to see an actual picture of you. They want to see an actual picture of a real farm with a real story. So I think selling that authentic brand and piece of you is really important. Find great partners to work with. So I'm very fortunate because I married way up with my wife, who is a great partner in the business because it's not always easy. Get rid of the ones that are toxic, right? Don't waste your time. And Patrick taught me another very valuable lesson. He calls me up one day. Do you guys ever heard the term Midwest nice? Yeah, you've heard that, right? So Patrick calls me up. He's a New Yorker, okay? They're not Midwest nice, okay? Patrick calls me and says, hey, what do you know about so-and-so we do business with, okay? The backstory is this guy owed us like $7,000, okay? He ordered, never paid. What do you know about this guy? I start with saying, wow, he's a really good guy. But then somewhere in the conversation I say, but you know, he does owe me a bunch of money and I probably wouldn't do business with him if I were you. And he stops and he's like, how is he a really good guy? He's like, you're so Midwest nice. He says, that guy's a piece of crap. He's like, don't be that, right? He's like, move on, right? You just go down the road, and I think that a lot of ours has come from building a really strong team within our family, but also within the teams that we use to help distribute and sell and be good partners. And that's what I would say really works good. And this is my last slide, by the way, is just, it's not linear. Growth is not linear. That timeline looks very flat and really awesome, but it wasn't easy, and it wasn't always awesome. But it's a real, authentic story where we came from. And I mentioned this earlier. I think it's the most important part. The truth is, if it hadn't have been for 1998 when the market collapsed, and if it hadn't have been for COVID-19 and some of these other like major setbacks, I am fairly confident that we would not be here. Because we would have just settled into complacency, right? And then something would have got us from the backside that we never saw coming, but instead that kind of understanding and the way that we learned to pivot became very important for us, and it became a really good opportunity to learn how to do things differently. You know, we didn't know that we were going to suddenly be making we launched a program called the Farm Stock Box, where we actually put pork and beef and poultry and all these other pieces in it. People subscribe to a monthly box. We ship it all over the country, and this is what they look like when they're getting ready to get picked up by UPS. Also, huge lesson. Shipping is your #1 enemy if you want to get into e-commerce, okay? And especially if you ship a perishable product. We can tell you a lot about losing a ton of money on that. But I think it's just a great opportunity to say that it's a fun road, and I'm excited for our own family. This kind of jazzes me up, reminds me of why we do, but I'm also excited for all of you who are entrepreneurs and small business, big business owners, and just also excited about having the opportunity to speak today. So thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
So I know you all have lots of questions, but does somebody have that one burning question that they would like to ask? Okay, Travis Weitzman.
I was gonna say, why isn't the pig on the box named Jim?
That's a good.
I'm going to keep that one. That's a very good point. Tim the pig. We got to get a mascot.
Tim the pig, not Arnold.
Tim the pig.
Well, I do know we do have two pork producers there, Jones Hill Farm and Thrasher Family Farm, so that's exciting. Glad they're joining us. But we're going to take a break. But I think the things that I learned, I'm going to keep you up here for 1 second, is tell your story, dare to be different. I think you said be authentic many times. I think that's part of telling your story. And relationships matter, and quality over quantity. And I think when people came today thinking about how to expand about beyond the Ozarks, we always think it has to be something big.
Yep.
It can just boil down to a few simple things, and I really think you hit that home, so thanks for sharing that. Okay, I'm gonna make you do a drawing. Can you take the number out of that?
Oh,
Yeah, let's see. See if we can find somebody, and behind your tickets, behind your lanyards is a ticket. We have a few giveaways.
okay.
Probably the last.
The last three, 271.
We might have to go through some. No winner? Okay.
282. Those are very close. 282.
Man, let's get 2 hours later, no.
281.
Oh! So you can choose one on your way out, but, all right. So this is break time. Again, thank you, David.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you
you.
to the Newman Farm, all the family for coming. And so go visit the vendors, please meet somebody new, and we'll ring the bell when we want you to come on back our way.
Hot seat.
It's right there.
We can all take our seats. I'd appreciate it. We're going to get started with our pitch. Come on.
You want this one?
Oh, yeah, there's, well, I'll ask. I think we have slides.
I know all of you are having a great time, but Ricky would like your attention.
All right, welcome to our pitch competition for our event today. I want to introduce first our judges that will be scoring our pitch contestants. And we've got Charles Elliott here with Code 5. We've got Kelly Slayton with Community First. And we've got Kristen Newman from The Farmer's Daughter. I'm going to be taking a look at our contestants and doing the scoring and figure out who the winner is going to be. We're going to have someone come up and speak to us in just a minute, but a couple things I want to mention. One, if your phones are not on silent, if you can make sure that is done, so we don't disrupt our pitchees as they're trying to make a good impression. I'm going to tell you a little bit about how this is going to work. So we've got our contestants that are going to come up, and they've got 6 minutes to pitch, tell you all about their business and why you should invest lots of money into those businesses. We will follow that up with 3 minutes of the judges scoring, or questions rather. They're going to ask our pitch contestants questions about their business for about 3 minutes. And then after that, they're going to score, at which point the contestant that just finished, we'll bring them up a little bit forward here, and we might have time for 1 or 2 questions from the audience. So we won't have a lot of time. There will be about 3 minutes between that and when the next contestant is coming up. And I'll let you know when we need to stop. But think about some questions you want to ask, and we'll pick whoever had the first hand up. And I think that's it. I want to introduce you to last year's 2025 Pitch Fest winner. She's someone that we had worked with for quite some time and love her to death. Her name is Magic Keller, and she's from the Ozarks School of Botanical Medicine. So we're going to ask her to come up and talk a little bit about what it was like for her and her competition last year, and then we will introduce our first contestants afterwards. Okay? Magic?
Okay. Thanks, Ricky. Hey everyone, my name is Magic, and like Ricky said, I'm with Ozarks School of Botanical Medicine. I'm an herbalist. I teach herbal medicine skills based on plants here in the Ozarks. So I was up here last year, and this is very nostalgic. I'm kind of relieved not to have to do a pitch today, personally. But doing the pitch competition was a great experience. Launch U, great experience. I met my CPA last year here, thanks Jeanette, and made a lot of really wonderful connections, some of whom are here today. And since that time last year, my business has really taken off. And I actually sold out a class for the first time at the Farmer's Daughter Christmas place. And that was in April, and it was an awesome experience. We're actually going to do another one, which I'm super excited about. Yeah, I just really can't say thank you enough to the team here at Osby for creating these opportunities. And yeah, thank you all so much. And let's go Pitties. Woohoo!
Thank you, Magic. Okay, our first pitch contestant is Logan Wagner from Cedar Lane. If Logan can come on up, and we'll get her situated. And when she is ready and the judges are ready, we'll start. Okay? They know. They've been trained. Correct.
I'm Logan Wagner, founder of Cedar Lane Co., where every purchase connects you to an Ozark artisan. We live in a time where online shopping has become default behavior. You grab your phone and you get on Amazon or Etsy, not just when you need something, but when you're bored, scrolling, or looking for inspiration. But that's where the purchase decisions are happening, and unfortunately, local artisans are not always a part of that behavior. Not because their products aren't good, but because they're not positioned in a way that matches how people are shopping. So they're not just competing on product, they're competing on visibility, convenience, and consistency. And most don't have the time, the tools, or support to keep up. At the same time, customers who discover makers in the Ozarks often want a way to support them, but once they leave the area, there's not a natural way to stay connected. So the problem isn't lack of demand. It's that local makers are being left out of modern buying behavior. What's missing isn't talent. It's a platform that matches how people are actually shopping today. Let me show you what I mean. This is Sherry, an Ozark artisan who makes handmade soaps. Sherry recently sat down with me and told me that she does very well in craft fairs and festivals. But in between those events, there aren't steady sales. And when you look at examples like Sherry's, or even this quilt, you can see that the craftsmanship is already there, and that people want to buy their products. But there's nothing consistently connecting these artisans to how people are making everyday purchases. Cedar Lane Co. will help fill that gap. It will create a centralized, easy-to-use platform where artisans can showcase their work, tell their story, and keep them connected to customers no matter where they live. What makes Cedar Lane Co. different is that it does more than give artisans a place to sell their products. It gives them a stronger way to be seen. Most platforms give sellers access to their customers, but they still expect them to handle their own visibility, branding, storytelling, and marketing. Cedar Lane Co. is built specifically for small Ozark artisans who have the craftsmanship, but may not have the time, the tools, or strategy to compete online. Cedar Lane Co. combines an online marketplace with built-in marketing support, helping makers present their work in a more polished, consistent, and discoverable way. Their products are custom, and they deserve a platform that's custom to them as well. Cedar Lane Co. is not just a marketplace. It's a scalable platform where every new artisan increases both product diversity and revenue without significantly increasing costs. So how does that work? While these makers are rooted in the Ozarks, the platform will allow them to reach far beyond it. Cedar Lane Co. uses a direct-from-maker approach where vendors manage their own inventory and ship directly to customers. Cedar Lane Co. will generate revenue through vendor subscriptions and a tiered commission model, ranging from 15% to 25%, depending on the level of visibility and marketing support each artisan chooses. To give a simple example, if Cedar Lane Co. launched with 40 artisans and each sells 50 products at a $20 average, that would create around $40,000 in sales. At a 20% commission, that would generate $8,000 in monthly revenue. As we grow from 40 artisans to 100 and beyond, that revenue will quickly scale significantly without significantly increasing overhead. Cedar Lane Co. is designed to launch as a lean, low overhead business. Initial expenses are focused on building a strong foundation, including the website platform, targeted advertising, and IT support. The IT support will ensure that the site is secure and will offer reliable customer experience. I plan to launch this fall with a selected group of makers and an initial $8,000 marketing investment to build awareness and early traction. Funding from the OSB pitch competition would directly strengthen the foundation by supporting the platform security, site functionality, and early marketing efforts. This will allow Cedar Lane Co. to not only launch effectively, but also provide artisans with a professional, trustworthy space to showcase their work from day one. Because the platform operates on a direct-from-maker model, inventory and fulfillment will remain with the artisans, allowing Cedar Lane Co. to scale efficiently without large operational costs. In the early stages, I will operate independently to keep overhead low. As the platform grows, there will be opportunities to expand into roles such as vendor relations and marketing support. While internal hiring will be phased, Cedar Lane Co. immediately creates economic impact by helping artisans increase their income through consistent online sales opportunities. I bring a background in business ownership, branding, and marketing strategy. I've spent my career working alongside small businesses where growth has depended on visibility, consistency, and making the most of limited resources. That experience has directly shaped Cedar Lane Co. because I'm building the kind of support I know small businesses need. Thank you.
So our judges has 3 minutes to ask some questions of Logan.
I am curious if you have investigated and figured out a price point for like cybersecurity for your site.
For the cybersecurity, that is going to be part of the $8,000 in the initiative with the marketing also. It's one of the biggest expenses, so it would probably cost me on my side around $800 a month just to keep it secure.
What would entice me to choose you over other platforms that are available?
So, like if you, over like Etsy or Amazon, I bring a marketing package basically. So I'm also going to help you market. A lot of the makers that I've spoken to, they are great at their craftsmanship, but they do not know how to get online. They don't know how to get their products out there. You know, everybody's got to start from somewhere. So it's kind of like the Ozark Etsy or the Ozark Amazon. It would definitely, you know, I'm not competing with the big box of online, but I think we could become our own big box. So I think getting in early would be a really good idea.
So kind of related to that, are you going to be providing a service that does like photography, the listing, and all of the like the end-to-end for the maker?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's going to be tiered packages based on what they need, because some of the vendors may already have down the photography, they may have all that down, so it'll be dependent on what they need. So the packages would range from, well, the subscription is that marketing package, so they would choose $30 to $100 a month, depending on what they need, plus then the commission of 15 to 25% on the products. But yeah, all of that would be done through Cedar Lane Co. And then their products, depending on what they choose, would be marketed across multiple channels.
Okay, and that might answer my second question, which is the plan for driving traffic to the platform, the site, for the shoppers.
So the plan would be, depending on what they choose, so I have a master's in digital content. I would be using funnels, search engine optimization, getting them on the necessary channels that make sense for their product. I think a lot of times they don't know where to start, they just know they need to be online. So it'd be very individualized based on the client, because everybody's a little different. The company's called Cedar Lane Co. because I live on Cedar Lane, and but that means we're neighbors. So, and in the Ozarks, we're all neighbors. So, my goal is to help each and every one of them with their specific needs, just like a neighbor would.
So you're driving traffic to that specific product, that specific customer, and using that channel versus just trying to push out Cedar Lane Co.
I will be doing both. I will be advertising Cedar Lane Co. as the Ozarks central point for you to find craftsmanship from all over the Ozarks. But also, if someone has chosen to spend more on marketing, I will make specific marketing plans for them. I'm a marketing director for Children's Behavioral Services. I used to be the marketing director for Wagner Home Center. So I've learned how to, with limited resources, be very, I guess, resourceful. So I feel like I can do that no matter what their budget is, because I heard something recently, you can't doubt your destiny, and so I'm wanting to help all these small businesses and craftsmen not doubt what they're doing. They just might need a little help to do it.
All right, that is it for our questions right now. I'm going to have Logan step this direction as we get another contestant set up and the judges score. Logan, if you don't mind standing over here just for a quick minute. Does anyone have any questions for Logan while we're transitioning to the next? Good.
So you say it'll be just for Ozark artisans. We plan to expand outside of Ozarks at some point if it gets enough traction.
I definitely wouldn't turn that down. I do want to start there because that's where kind of my heart is. And I want to bring the Ozarks to the whole country. So kind of, elevate the artisans that are here. On my master's program, I introduced this idea, and they had no idea what the Ozarks was. And when I was showing them pictures and everything, people over on the East Coast got really excited. They're like, why are people not buying their stuff? And I'm like, because it's not online. So that's kind of how I got started. But I would love to eventually branch out.
I don't know if we have our judges still scoring right now. All right, we got time for one more question, Sarah.
Yes, so you were talking about how you can help as an individual basis kind of cater to whatever they might need. So if an artisan already has their own website, but they don't know how to build it and promote it, that would be something you would offer as well?
Yes, yes, and there's actually the thing I'm most excited, and I'm glad you asked this question, on Cedarling Co. I want to have a Meet the Maker option, so you can shop by category, shop by product, but you can also shop by meeting the maker. And that Meet the Maker will let the customer meet or see your website, see your socials. So you go on, you see what they've made, you see a story, but then that will funnel them right to your own socials and your own website.
Fantastic, thank you.
Before I introduce our next contestant, I just want to remind everybody, if you don't already know, we are doing a People's Choice Award, and we'll talk about that after the competition. So make sure you're paying attention to what everyone's saying so you can vote on that. So our next pitch contestant is Amelia Cordova, did I say that right? And she is from Birth Kind. Amelia?
Thank you, Ricky. Awesome. Hi, I'm Amelia Cordova. I've been a certified doula and community healthcare worker since 2016, and I'm the founder of Birth Kind, a two-sided platform powering community maternal care. Before we talk about Birth Kind, we have to talk about why this matters. A 2025 report from the Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services confirmed what we already know. 80% of maternal deaths in our state are fully preventable. The leading causes of maternal death include mental health, cardiovascular disease, infection, and discrimination. Many are happening after the 6-week checkup and before their baby's first birthday, the window where our medical care currently drops off. When we look at who's dying, 81% of maternal deaths are Medicaid patients. Black women are dying at 3 times the rate of their white counterparts, and people below the poverty line are being systematically excluded from care. This isn't just healthcare failure, it's discrimination. So how does this happen? Let me tell you about Sarah. This is her second pregnancy. She lives 1 hour from the closest hospital and is on Missouri Medicaid. She has a history of anxiety and feels overwhelmed by her pregnancy, but her doctor assures her everything's fine. Every mom is overwhelmed. After her baby's born, she doesn't sleep. She begins having panic attacks, intrusive thoughts, and eventually hallucinations. At her baby's 2-week well checkup, she's flagged for mental health and given a referral to psychiatric care. The psych waitlist in the state of Missouri is 6 months. At her routine 6-week OB visit, they don't flag anything amiss and there's no additional follow-up. Sarah died by suicide at 4 months postpartum. In a different world, Sarah could have had a doula. Doulas are non-clinical advocates that provide personalized, informational, emotional, and physical support through the birthing year. With a doula, Sarah would have had regular visits in the comfort of her home and been screened for postpartum mood and anxiety disorders when red flags like not sleeping were showing up. She would have had an advocate for immediate mental health support and connection to crisis resources and immediate telehealth options. With consistent follow-up and support, Sarah would receive treatment and live because continuity of care saves lives. The data is clear. Doulas and perinatal health workers save lives and improve healthcare outcomes. Doulas reduce cesarean births by 25 to 39%. They lower NICU admissions by 38%. And doula care is already covered in the state of Missouri and 26 other states. So what's the problem? 91% of families aren't using a doula, or they don't know that that's an option that's available to them. They don't know how to find vetted providers, and compounding that, on the provider side, the average doula career is only 2 to 3 years long because of high burnout and high turnover. Because being great at doula care and really good at taking care of people doesn't mean that you're great at running a business and marketing your services. And it can take 10 hours every week on top of the care that you're doing with families for admin and billing just to get paid, especially when you add in the Medicaid support. The result is a massive gap between the care that works and the families that need it. At BirthKind, we believe that no parent should feel unsupported and no provider should end their career because of burnout. So we're building the infrastructure to support both. BirthKind is a two-sided platform. For providers, we provide full back-end support, including Medicaid billing, marketing, and client relationship management. They stay independent, and we manage the whole back end of their business. Their average contracts are $3,500. The provider keeps just about $3,000, and we take a $525 profit share. For families, we help them find vetted providers that are filterable by their values, not just their zip code. We have a birthplace directory that helps people understand the local cesarean rates and other relevant data to hospital systems that are located near them. We offer low literacy education tools and systems navigation support. Underneath all of that is a vetted network with national standards and independent outcomes data. We're building the system that makes sustainable perinatal health care possible. So what makes BirthKind different from other solutions? In simplest terms, no one else is quite doing what we're doing. Some solutions may cover one piece of the puzzle, but BirthKind is the only platform combining filterable provider directory, digital marketing, a business CRM, admin and billing, low literacy education, and outcomes tracking that's built specifically for perinatal care. BirthKind isn't just a concept, it's live and providers are joining. Our pilot is currently active in Missouri and our provider directory is growing. Funding today will help us continue that path. We're building toward 25 certified providers with 5 signed and generating revenue today. The doulas we're chatting with tell us this is a no-brainer, and we're not even touching memberships, SaaS tools, or potential partnerships at this stage. So we're launched, we're growing, and thanks to the support of our community and folks like our friends here at OSB, we're ready to scale. Thank you.
How did you get your message out? You have some clients today,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Already. How many do you have?
We have 5 certified providers currently.
And how did you get that message out to them?
Showing up at community events and networking within the space. So there's a lot of perinatal provider events, professional networking events, continuing education opportunities, and we're showing up in those spaces. And then also I've been a doula for 10 years, so I have folks that I've built relationships with in the network all across the United States, and so I've been able to utilize those partnerships and relationships. Yes.
On the consumer end, do you have an app that's already developed that they can use, or how would, like if I needed to do it, how would I utilize the space?
Yeah, so we have a web app currently where you can navigate through providers in the state of Missouri currently, which we're currently growing. And we hope to eventually expand with funding into a mobile app that's downloadable to their phone so that they can access the resources even when they're offline.
And the resources, is it just the doula, or are there other resources within that, in
Other
addition to the doula?
Yes, so we help them navigate and pick a provider. So we give them options, they can create a short list. We also help them understand the birthplace options that are in their area, and then we're also working on low literacy friendly education tools like videos, courses, things that they can go through in partnership with their provider or on their own so that they can understand the options that are available to them. Yes.
You say we, what does the team look like?
Yeah, so I'm the founder. I'm working with some contractors. I have a tech lead who's working out of New York, and I have several partners in the St. Louis, kind of general greater St. Louis area that are helping me with marketing. Yep.
If I were to give you $250,000 today, what would you do with it?
Marketing would be one of the things, and expanding all of our like digital tools. So app development, getting it into the hands of like medical systems, because like when I talk to providers, they're like, we don't have anything that we're recommending to people currently, and so there's some partnership opportunities with like the current systems. And yeah, just getting new people onto the platform, and probably expanding our team, to be honest. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, Amelia.
Thank you.
And we have just a couple minutes maybe, or a minute for questions from the audience, if anyone has a question for Amelia. About to see a hand, if someone's got a question. All right, Travis?
Are you partnering with any of the rural hospital associations or any of that, trying to get your word out?
Yes, I'm in contact with a couple in the Springfield general region. I've gone to some local perinatal health dinners and made some great connections. So part of it is just a backlog of like, we have a lot of work behind us and forward. Yes, we have some great conversations that we've been doing as we build our resources, and just like making sure they have, you know, flyers about like what is a doula and why is it relevant for you as a Medicaid patient in Missouri to utilize the resource that's already being paid for. Yep.
Anything else? It looks like we got another minute while they're scoring. Any other questions we have? Magic?
Can you talk a little bit about what you meant by values aligned, like the search filters for values aligned?
Yes, so not everybody is the same. Different people have different values that they want to bring to their birth space. If someone's coming from a faith-based background, or they're a queer family, or they're a Black family who's looking for someone whose values aligned to that, that's what we mean by values aligned. So it's basically you have your goals that you want. We want to help you find people and providers who are safe for you, who will also help you achieve the goals that you have for your birth. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much, Amelia.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, our next contestant. Just another reminder about your cell phones, if you have not silenced them, please do so. And next up, we've got Joe Dickens from JD Show You Company. If you guys haven't tried some of this stuff, he's got a table set up right there. Joe, take it away.
Good start then? Okay. Everybody, thanks for having me here today. My name is Joe Dickens. Anyway, I've got experience running a food truck. I've run a catering business before. I have currently have a flexible remote work job, which gives me all kinds of time in the middle of the day because I have frequent night shifts, which is very useful for starting a business. I have lived in Japan for several years. I can read technical documents in the Japanese language, which is very useful for my business idea here. And just personality-wise, the kitchen draws me like a magnet. I'm always in the kitchen, and I cannot ever seem to leave it for more than a few hours. My idea here is I would like to start the first shoyu, or soy sauce, brewery in Missouri. Well, microbrewery anyway. There is a Keynote plant over West Springfield, but it's a factory. And I'm going to talk about why I think this is a good idea that will be very successful here. This U.S. soy sauce market is actually a fairly major one. We're just shy of about 20% of global consumption, and it's already $3.5 billion. And it is going to increase by another $1 billion over the next 5 years. At the same time, the specialty and what's called artisanal food market is increasing very rapidly at over 11.5% year on year. Even so, the American shoyu, the American soy sauce production, is almost entirely large factory, standardized output that has not changed in decades. There are only 2 microbreweries in the entire United States for that entire $3.5 billion market. So in terms of who we're going to be selling this to, well, there's really three groups. One of them is adults who, let's call them gourmets or foodies, the people who want to have something different at home, some different flavor. Second one, there's some special dietary needs that are not being very well met in this market. I can do very similar flavors with completely organic ingredients. I can do it without wheat, so it's completely gluten-free. And I can even make a soy sauce without soy. I've had very good luck with amaranth grain. It comes out as being very surprisingly similar to the traditional product. It is traditionally brewed, and it would be the only soy-free soy sauce available on the market that it goes through the traditional brewing process. I have to think about the marketing on that one, but I believe that does not address marketing segment. The other one would be restaurants, which they don't need the high-end consumer packaging, so I could cut them a pretty good deal compared with the at-home shipments. And hopefully we'll have some marketability on that as well. Financially speaking, I'm in a position to really keep costs as low as they can possibly be for this type of operation. I've worked out all the capital, and if I get 175 unit sales per month, assuming I am hiring out all of the brewing labor, which I would not be doing at first, 175 bottles a month would already be my break-even point here. If I'm doing the brewing labor, it's going to be more like 125 to 130, so 6 bottles a day. It's I have a financial leg up in my particular situation here. The gross margins on this, if I sell for the same price that the other two microbreweries do, my gross margin will exceed 50%. So it's a very strong, profitable business. Challenges. Put one of my sample packs there that apparently UPS ran over with a forklift or something. Yeah, those little bottles are pretty stout too. They really smashed that one. It does take a year to produce. If your brew wants to be peak quality, after 6 months you've got something that's pretty passable, it's pretty good. But being that I cannot afford to be the discount player on the scene, I need more than just okay. So realistically, it's going to take about a year to really get settled with a quality product. Then obviously, I'm not going to be able to do the cheapest, not for probably ever. I'm not going to be able to be the discount option. Also, I am a production and complex systems management guy. I am not a sales and marketing guy. I know almost nothing about marketing and watch very little advertising and am very disconnected from the advertising. So I would hopefully need some help with that. There are many, many advantages. It's very advantageous to do this here. Missouri is a great place to do it. We have cooperages for producing barrels. I've got a sample barrel out there from McGinnis up in Cuba. Our costs are very low. Almost everything can be produced immediately locally. I only have to import one thing, and that is the, it's called tanicochi. It's the spores for the aspergillus that makes the sauce. And hopefully, I will be able to lead on the business incubator here for my marketing, because I need help with that. Next steps, I've just signed a contract to create the brewery building. I need to build out the brewery according to my plans right here. Start batches, start making marketing content, and then hire in help, because most of brewing is washing things, and it's a lot. So, there we go. I think we are roughly at 6 minutes here. Questions, comments?
I'm curious, how would you compare or contrast this against something like the coconut aminos? Are you familiar with those? It's like the soy sauce.
Rag season, yes.
Yep.
The difference here is mainly this one, that goes through another process that I'm not sure exactly what they do, but it's not traditionally brewed.
Okay.
So we have the more traditional angle. We've got the actual aged in oak barrels. Everything is produced by the natural enzymes, as opposed to their process, which I'm honestly not sure what that is.
It's kind of off the wall question.
Yeah.
I'm just curious.
I'm aware that is.
Are you producing now?
I am producing in my home kitchen.
Okay.
which does not really legally entitle me to sale, but it does give me a lot of practice. It lets me test out different recipes. It lets me practice the machinations of squeezing out an entire barrel of sauce and seeing how much mess that makes.
So from the time you're, if I understood right, you start producing now till sales is about a year?
Yes, there's some rather obscure kinds I can do more quickly, but I don't know if I can sell those. Maybe. Like there's such thing as white soy sauce, which is actually a very light yellow. That can be done in 3 months. There are no domestic producers of this. There are only a handful in Japan, and it is available on Amazon for $30 to $35 a bottle. So, if I could sell it, it's margins would be excellent.
And did you say your average would be 6 bottles a day?
That is my break-even.
That's your break-even?
That's my break-even point, yes.
Okay.
That's all the capital expenses, all the money that I have recently borrowed in order
What's
to
your
do.
goal to make?
The goal would be, I mean, short term for me to be able to no longer do my day job and do this full-time would be slightly more than double that. So by the time I hit 20 to 25 bottles a day in sales, I would be focusing full-time on this.
Okay.
We got 3 minutes, is that it? Got 1 more minute to go. Any other questions from the judges?
Will you be,
Well, let's see if the judges have any more questions.
Oh,
We're good?
sorry.
That's all right.
Is this something you're just gonna offer like via through stores, or will it also be something that someone can order online and get to their house?
Yes, distribution channels wise, I'm thinking direct to consumer marketing and sales. I've already worked up a shipping system at home. Shipping is by far the most expensive part of one of the bottles of these, but I can still make it profitable because of the margins on this are very nice. Also, there's restaurants, and I would be also attempting to get into groceries, especially like organic markets and that sort of thing.
Awesome, thank you.
All right, Joe, we're gonna step over here. If anyone else have any other questions for Joe before he departs? Aaron?
So my question would be on your scale. You said that you're not able to produce this in home to be able to sell, so you're gonna be requiring a brick and mortar for this. And then, of course, shipping looks like it could be difficult, as we heard from an earlier speaker. Have you been able to figure out how that's going to scale per bottle and fit that within a per bottle sale? Are you going to be able to have a brick and mortar and be able to fit that within 6 bottles a day?
Yes, that's actually that was on that slide. Those were the actual numbers that I put on there. But yeah, the shipping at roughly approximation of $4.75 a bottle average, based on a different combination, shipping from 1 and 6 bottles at a time. After that, it was quite a bit cheaper actually. The sauce cost per bottle is 58 cents.
I had a question real quick. So, you know, your major plans was building out a facility. Is this something that you could produce in a commercial kitchen? That you could start selling legally, locally? Or is it something that you have to have the scale in order to do it?
The issue with like renting a commercial kitchen or something is where to leave the barrels for a year. So I've determined it's most convenient for me to just go ahead and build a building. And therefore I will own it, I won't have to pay rent on it, I will just have the equipment to pay back, which I will self-fund through the first year until sales.
Thank you.
And do I understand correctly that you were already in the process of building that building?
Yes, I just signed a contract with the contractor last week, so the groundwork should begin in the next couple weeks.
I had a question about
Yes.
competition. How do you plan to differentiate yourself in case competitors are trying to do what you do?
Right now, there's only 2 competitors, and I have different recipes than them, so it is kind of a unique product. I would be the only one that I'm aware of anywhere doing the soy sauce without soy, so the soy-free shoyu, if you will. Past that, it's going to be name recognition, continuing to develop new, different varieties, seeing what else I can put into there, and just continuing to make an excellent product, because there's as I pointed out earlier, there's only 2 microbreweries making the good stuff in the entirety of the United States right now. One of them has been in business for 20 years, the other has been in business for 5, and I have found no records of any that started and shut down.
All right. I think that is it. Thank you very much. All right, our last pitch contestant is Judy Hunter from Hunter HR Solutions.
Hi, my name is Judy Hunter with Hunter HR Solutions. I moved to West Plains in 2025 from the Southeast General Philadelphia area. I have 30 years of experience in human resources, with 13 of those at the director level. I've worked in healthcare, manufacturing, not-for-profit, legal, and shared services. I have a few accomplishments written up here, but most importantly, I want to use my experience to support the communities, our community's businesses, and I'm already have my first client. I brought them with me from Pennsylvania to West Plains, so I'm already doing this. So what's the problem that I found when I moved here are 3 things. There's the cost gap, the compliance gap, and the proximity gap. The cost gap is that small businesses cannot afford to hire a full-time HR director, and they can hire me instead at a fraction of the cost based on their needs. There's a compliance gap. Compliance is always changing in HR between regulatory at the federal level and the state level, and depending where you live, the local level as well. I can help mitigate risk and give owners peace of mind. And the last is a proximity gap. The closest HR fractional consultant is around 90 miles away in Springfield. I will be local, I will be in person, right here in our community. So in addition to fractional HR services, I can also provide HR policies and handbooks. I can review your policies and handbooks as well. Compliance audits, onboarding programs, performance management, manager training, and recruitment support. So why me? I'm here, these others are not. So if you're talking about a full-time HR director, small businesses can't afford that, and it's a year-round cost. It's not based on need. They have that cost all year long. Remote and virtual firms have no local presence, no community contacts, no face-to-face relationships, and they're unable to respond to your on-site needs. I'm local, I'm in person, I have experience, and I am relationship-based. I believe in building relationships. The market opportunity. There are at least 300 to 500 small businesses in the West Plains trades market. There are no HR consultants providing fractional services in Howe County. If I get the 7 customers that I get in my first year, and I will get them, and that is a very conservative number, I will get less than 3% market penetration. There's a big market for my services. And I will expand my services to include HR training workshops, leadership training, coaching, John Maxwell training, expanded presence beyond Howe County. Even though I'm starting in Howe County, I want to expand it to others. And I will eventually hire and train not just an assistant, I will also bring in more consultants as I scale my business. I am financially sustainable. I have an anchor client in Philadelphia that pays my draw and pays my business expenses. When I get to 8 customers, I'm at the tipping point of not even needing those in Philadelphia. I'll be making as much as I make with my client in Philadelphia. And at that point, we can start talking about hiring. Economic impact is, the Gallup says that engaged employees are 21% more productive. At a time when engagement is dropping with employees, that's really important that we focus on employee engagement. Better hires and retained employees increase productivity for small businesses in Howell County. And that is a multiplier effect. Businesses will spend more, they can pay their employees more, they can hire more employees. And to me, the most important factor is that our employees are happy and they take that home with them. My goal is to hire one full-time assistant who I will train and mold into my business manager, and consultants as my business needs them. And yeah, I already talked about that. Looking forward, you can see what I've accomplished so far. My next milestones, my website is going live tomorrow. And you can read some of those, but I'm going to join the chamber to continue to build that, to build relationships. And I want to sign my first local client. My ask today is referrals. If you know a small business that needs HR help, refer me to them. Dialogue, chat with me today. Come talk to me. I'd like to learn about you, your business, and your HR needs. And connections, help me spread the word. Help me get to know you. Connections are where we build relationships. My name is Judy Hunter from Hunter HR Solutions, Human Resources, locally delivered. Thank you.
Few questions. So what backgrounds, you've got many years of experience in HR, what environment? Was that in manufacturing, sales?
I would say my two longest jobs, one was in manufacturing, the other one was a combination of healthcare, not-for-profit, and an environmental manufacturing type environment. The legal services and the legal services were a little bit less. And that 13-year job also had shared services, so I got 4 different types of experiences in that one job.
On your pricing, if I was understanding that right, you've got one client in Philadelphia now.
Yes.
And that's you're already breaking even.
Yes, I am.
Okay. Have you kind of investigated or explored pricing in this area? Because I have a feeling it's going to be a lot different than a Philadelphia
Oh, no,
area.
absolutely. And I know that I'm coming into the Midwest, in Missouri, in West Plains, and their contract is totally different than what I would do here. So they have an hourly contract, and I can work up to a full-time hours with them.
Okay.
But here, it really is going to be a contract based on their needs, and how many hours they want access to me. So it could be as low as $400 a month, even lower if they want even less. So if they want an hourly rate, I have an idea what I want, but we can definitely negotiate a price that would be suitable for the business.
Okay, so mainly your pricing is hourly, right?
I'm hoping for retainer contracts, right? Where they know that they have me to come in, be a presence for their employees, be a resource for them, or they can just pick up the call and not have to worry about me having to bill them, that they're already getting that monthly contract, they're already building a relationship with me, and I am their part-time HR person for them.
Okay. And then you mentioned, I think you hope to expand into some on-site training or going on-site, is that?
Absolutely. Training is my passion.
Okay.
I love doing training. So it can be part of their package, or it could be a one-off. So let's just say, for example, you wanted someone to come in and do HR for management. I can put that, we can work together, create what you need, and from there, I would come on site and provide that. Or we can do it via Zoom if you have locations that are larger than just here.
Okay. Good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That was kind of my question. It was, because seemed to be one of your differentiators was the location and the fact that you could be on site. I'm just curious, is there any other reason that that would be needed for you to be on site other than training, which is still a remote option available?
Absolutely.
And how that compares with the competition of someone hiring someone from somewhere else?
It could be needing an investigation. You know, I'd rather do an investigation for a serious issue with an employee on site rather than having to do it on a phone or via a Zoom call. That way I'm in the room with them. It could be just allowing employees to have access to an HR person, whether I'm in the building maybe once a month for an hour or a couple hours, providing that support for the employees as well as the managers.
Okay, I think that's going to be it for our judges' questions. We'll let them score, and then if maybe you have a couple minutes, if we've got enough for 2 questions from the audience.
Can I ask a question, please?
Yes, you can.
Okay, thank you. With liability, it would be huge. So what protections would you be able to offer? You know, like you're the expert, but is there any certifications or qualifications that say the advice I'm giving you is valid because of? Like, I don't know how that works.
Absolutely. Besides my 30 years of experience, I have a bachelor's degree in human resource management from Newman College back in Allentown, graduated in 2001, and more recently, actually like 2019, I know COVID hit because I got COVID really bad and couldn't take a final. I have a graduate degree from the University of Pittsburgh School of Law in business HR law.
Okay, so there's not like tax accountants, they have their, they'll back you up. So it's just based on experience that you would
Yes.
be able to back up whatever's going on in the business?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Question from the audience before we wrap this up? I see one hand back here. Is that Travis? No, I'm sorry. Tanya? I'm sorry, I couldn't see you.
Travis? Your current client in Pennsylvania, what business or industry are they in?
They're a law firm. They're a regional law firm, 140 employees. Yes.
Is there insurance to protect you in the kind of situation that Kristen was asking about?
I have liability insurance, business insurance, so I've already got that in place for Travelers Insurance and Wiley, who helped me get that.
Okay, I think we are actually right on time, so we'll wrap that up. Thank you so much, Judy.
Well, they did the hard work of putting themselves out there and pitching their ideas. Very different businesses. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. But now it's your turn. So you get to choose the people's choice. So if you turn to your handbook on page 5, your little program, or you can still scan the QR code on the screen, you can now vote for which pitch you thought had the winning business idea. So we'll give you a few minutes, and when you're done, just go break, go visit the vendors in the hallway, and join us back here at 4:15 for a very browsing roundtable with our 3 businesses, Yes Honey, H&M Rag Store, and The Landing. We're looking forward to that. So we'll give you a few minutes and then take a break, and we'll see you back here at 4:15. Oh, I know what I need.
by the time that they're ready to like coexist, that would be wonderful.
Yeah.
Might just stop being But I'll see if maybe we can produce something.
Yeah.
I'm interested in having
Oh, I know, it's weird, right? I think they're trying to order, where's the ear? Plastic, No, I just called it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just go gather to like sell them, which I'm like, all right, y'all, like, go for it. Yeah, I respect that. Like, yeah. And it's cool.
Yeah, well, I don't know shipping, but we've got a lot of people around it.
Well, yeah, you're in a very nice,
She started in the farmer's market last year, and that is not very nice. I never ever, it's not very fun. I've never had this.
tell me about it.
Wasting all those Saturdays is what we're trying to do.
Yeah, we went to,
Just try to build up that presence for people to come by the farm. They come by the farm. You know, we got our community building.
we're 140 miles from Memphis. This is a very true statement. We found that downtown is a farmer's market. Well, until the market has
I'm terrible about terrible about ship there.
But I wasn't thinking about the camera and all, so thank you.
All right. I was ready to go see a trip. Best way.
Let's go ahead and find our seats, guys. Maybe somebody can do the lights back there. Okay.
Put that there and there.
You can go right ahead. Okay, Andrew, if you'd like to come on up and. Oh, there she is, okay. Actually, it's me in person. Okay, so thank you all for sticking with us. I know that the keynote speaker and the pitch competition were really exciting, but this is going to be a really good discussion as well. This is the Beyond the Ozarks Roundtable. And today we've invited 3 entrepreneurs who have done an outstanding job of attracting business, customers, and revenue from outside of the Ozarks, which of course is the theme. So we're going to talk a little bit about how they've each done that. Every business is different. We've heard a few different ways of doing that already. So today we're going to hear from these 3 entrepreneurs. I will moderate. My name is Autumn Shirley. I am the Business Development Director here at OSB. And today I'm the Beyond the Ozarks Roundtable Facilitator. And I'd like to welcome Heather Menser with Yes Honey, a standout LaunchU graduate and OSB success story, who has done all the work herself. Don't let us take my light away. Andrew Bedell from The Landing in Van Buren, Missouri. If you've not been, it's incredible. And Anna Mayberry with H&M Ranch Store in Willow Springs, right?
I'm not going to spend a lot of time introducing them because they will each have about 5 minutes to introduce themselves. We'd love to hear a little bit about your story, how you got where you are, what that process has been like. I'm not going to time you. If you go a little under, that's okay. This is a discussion, and then I'll have a few questions for the group, and ideally a question or two for each of you. Then I would like to have some time for the audience to have some questions as well. So that's the goal. We'll see how it goes. This is kind of a go with the flow roundtable. So we'll start with Heather, if you'd like to start us off.
Sure. My name is Heather Mincer, as she said, and I own Yes Honey. My company first started out when I was here at Launch U with the name of Naked Chicks Pasture. Because we raised chickens. So we had a whole chicken farm, and when I first came down to Osby, it was for help with my chicken farm, just kind of understanding how to run a business. I had never done that before. And so when I ended up launching the drinks solely for the purpose to have another product on my farmer's market table, when I was going to farmer's market every week, Naked Chicks Pasture 100% honey sweetened soda just wasn't catchy enough. So I had to change it. But what happened was, obviously, people were searching for it on the internet once we launched the drinks, and they were leaving off the pasture in nakedchickspasture.com, and you can imagine what they were coming up with. So found very early on the importance of proper branding and name recognition and what you want to be known for. So it took about a year for the whole rebranding process. Now, mind you, I was 6 months old when I decided I needed to rebrand. And so that whole process took a year. And honestly, I thought that was going to be the worst thing ever, right? Like, I'm this small of a company, and I'm like, oh my gosh, customers are not going to be able to find me. They're not going to know who it is, but it ended up being the best thing that I could have ever done for the brand. I started it, the drink end of it, because we were more focused on having natural sugars, honey, maple syrup, trying to get rid of any processed sugars. They're just not great for our body and very addictive. And so my husband really enjoyed iced tea. I started out with a tea drink, which we still have. And that rest is history. That's how it started. And Launch U was a huge, huge part of my journey in trying to understand how to run a business. The biggest thing for me was margins. I've talked a couple of times about some of the things in our booklets that we had that were so impactful for me. And some of the stories in there, the guy with the coffee shop, I know I always say that, who didn't do all of his math ahead of time and ended up shutting down. So I did not want that to happen. So if you're from Launch U, pay attention to what the books say when they teach you. So we have expanded outside of the Ozarks. When I was in the class, still under Naked Chicks Pasture, there's a company called Azure Standard. And they are more of an organic online grocery store. It was a store that I had purchased from for many years prior. And I knew, like, I wanted to get my products in that store. And all of my friends here at Osby were like, you are moving too fast. But they weren't telling me to my face. There was all kinds of talk going on. There is a fear in growing too fast, depending on what your company or brand is. For a consumer packaged goods product like mine, growing too fast is a real issue. And so it came from love for us, and just wanting to protect us. But I did end up getting the contract with Azure, and we've been selling with them ever since, and it was really amazing. So fast forward to now, it's been 2.5 years since we started with Naked Chicks, and then about a year and a half with Yes Honey, and that name actually really propelled us forward. We're now pushing 400 stores across the United States that we have products in. It's a big deal, and I never set out to build a brand. That wasn't my goal. I just wanted to have another healthy product, and so here we are, and I don't know what else I was supposed to talk about. Okay, so that's us. So I'm excited to be back here. You know, I feel like this is where I really started and got the foundation that I needed to continue moving forward.
I know this is impromptu, but before I forget, because my brain, I'm just coming off the road and I'm always scatterbrained, but I will say this, and I think it's been said multiple times today, but when I started our business in 2002, I was just like you, I was like, oh, this is a cool name. No research, no nothing. And let me tell you, the phone calls we receive every day, do y'all sell the fence panels and how much are they? No, we don't sell fence panels. Why would you think we're selling fence panels? Just because our name's H&M Ranch Store, why would you think that? So researching, going on Google, and actually we're kind of in a trademark issue right now. It really is important because it's going to save you a lot of headache down the road. And luckily, I know when you say you're small and you're thinking, oh my gosh, I'm already rebranding, but really it was a blessing because you're early on.
Yes.
You know, and you get that fixed now. We're at the point where we've had so many contacts and so many business cards out, and you know, we give a 10% discount every show we go to. We hand one out to every customer. To go back and rebrand now, I mean, unless Heather says, I mean, I guess I could do it, but we're almost 25 years in this. It's very difficult. So do your research, punch in the Google, see what comes up. It's going to protect you in the long run from trademark issues, and it's also going to boost your brand. It really does make a huge difference on that. Okay, I'll be quiet now. I'll wait my turn. But that's so important. It's going to save you guys.
Thank you. That's a great observation. Andrew, would you like to go ahead?
Sure. I'm Andrew Bedell. Got the landing on Current River in Van Buren, Missouri. We refer to ourselves as Current River's floating lodging and dining headquarters. We've been in business, our 45th year in business. I'm kind of humbled to be up here because obviously the vision for the landing was created when I was 7. So I'm not the inspiration for the idea. Anyway, I think I've been involved in the business my whole life, and so I generally consider myself really a byproduct of what my parents' hard work and ambition and resilience led to. So certainly earlier on, I think they were the creators, and I was more of like just learning how to execute. And so that was important to learn, I think, when I was younger. But anyway, I'll give you a little context. So in 1967, the Current River and the Jack's Fork became part of the National Park Service. If you're familiar with Big Spring, I'm sure a lot of you have been to Big Spring. It used to be a state park, and it became a national park in that year, 1967. And so there's 150 miles of the riverways of Current and Jack's Fork River, and the park issued concessions for floating along those areas. And in the Van Buren area, they actually issued 4 concessions. And these are permits that allow you to rent, shuttle, and as long as you pass your inspections, and as long as you qualify each year for that, then you will keep your permits as long as you live. I'll be coming at you from we like to call ourselves a niche mom and pop business in the service industry. So we to set that up. After that, in the 70s, you had these canoe rentals, and they only rented canoes at that time. Inner tubes were not a thing at that point. You would see random people, locals, maybe had a tire tube that they would hop in and float and have their own ride and all that. But it wasn't a thing, it was only canoes. And in the 70s at that time, my parents were very ambitious. They opened a bowling alley in the mid-70s, ran it for a couple, 3 years. They also finally moved to Van Buren in 1979 and opened a liquor store. and they called it the Van Buren Fire and Ice Company. And that became a little famous place in its brief stint. But he came over because he had an affection for the river. They knew a couple people there, and he saw an opportunity there with those permits, and he wanted a concession. And so in 2 years, in '81, we were afforded the luxury of having that opportunity to purchase a concession. So we bought a place called Lycos Landing. They had 65 canoes on their permits. And so we bought that, an old stucco building right there, very old building. And my dad was a big believer in the tubes. He had a vision for tubing the river. And so he brought some tubes on. And in fact, he used to rent them at the liquor store. He would rent tubes for $2 a day. And you could pick them up that morning, no shuttle, you just pick them, you take them. It's very trustworthy back then. Take the tubes, go, just bring them back by the end of the day. So anyway, in the 80s then, once we had that business and we pushed tubing, it started to grow. And it grew, that was probably our biggest area of growth, was in the 80s, believe it or not. There was a couple reasons for that. One of them I've got a picture of, I'll show you. It was an idea that they had, and it was called the Current River Cadillac. Right there. And that was an idea. If you floated regular tubes in the past, there were two things that stuck out to you. They always got very hot in the sun, and they also would deflate a lot, usually hit things, whatever. So they created this. It's a nylon cover with back support, and you're able to market yourself right there on the tube. You know, back in the old days, they'd spray paint on the tubes and all that, and nobody could read it because it was not a good spray job. But we would market it with that, and that just really propelled us in the 80s. People just loved the idea of renting a Current River Cadillac. We had different colors, mostly green. And so that was a big thing for us. And then we also changed the shuttle procedure. That was an adaptation that we made. In the 70s, the canoe rentals would let you just put in at their spot and then float down to Big Spring, which was south. And then they would eventually just pick you up sometime. So it was a very not cost effective, not pleasing to the customer in general. And so when we took the business over, it was like, okay, we're going to change this. We're going to shuttle everybody up. We're going to find access points upriver. We're going to get the shuttle part out of the way, and we're going to allow them to get to float without having to worry about being picked up. They'll float right back to our place. And that allows for extra time. They can take as long as they want because they're coming right back to you. You don't have to worry about them floating by Big Spring and heading to Arkansas and having to go find them and all that. So there were a lot of things like that. But we started to see large groups. We started to see people wanting photos. We started selling photos. And it just, the business just kind of, you're talking about a growth issue. We kind of got a little nervous about that ourselves because of, we're like, what else should we offer? What else should we do? Because this thing is taking fire. And so we have people to this day that have been coming 30, 35 years, come every year, call every year, bring huge groups, and just spend the weekend. And we realized that at that point in the 80s that we were more than an activity, that we were a destination. That changes your whole mindset when you realize that, okay, we're going to market ourselves as a destination now. So we ended up, we were fortunate in 1990 to be bought out by MoDOT because Highway 60 was coming through right where our spot was. And so luckily we owned some land right below that where that new highway was going to be. It allowed us then to get out of that old building and build a lodge. We built all riverfront rooms, and we built a little deli called Nacho Mama's Nachos. And we had 2 items on the menu. We had nachos and hot dogs. And that was it. And so we just kind of started doing things like that, and the growth continued because of the destination part, because of the lodging, And we started realizing that people really, really enjoyed driving here on a Friday afternoon and not getting in their car for 2 days. And they had a restaurant there, they had, they could walk to town. We always laughed about how the city people won't like it here because there's nothing to do. Like, no, city people love it here because there's nothing to do. They get to relax, that's what they're doing. So anyway, we did that in 1994. We added those rooms. And then in 1995, we added our restaurant, which was a steak and seafood restaurant. And it's been going to this day. We're open 5 nights a week currently, 7 nights in the summer. And those just support the floating side of it. The floating remains the bedrock of our business. If it wasn't for the floating, it would be much, much more of a challenge for us than it is. And that's what I would say about, that's what I've learned about a business is when you have something, I think my dad understood that the scarcity of you've got this pristine river that's federally protected. The Park Service is protecting it for you, so it's not going to be replicated. And you can leverage your business against that, knowing you have these permits and you have this opportunity. So he was very good at always looking for opportunity. And so to wrap up, we basically kept growing over the next 20 years. We went from 65 canoes and 34 tubes in 1981 to now we have 2,000 tubes. We have 150 6-man rafts. We do 150 canoes and we do 100 kayaks. Wow. And we will put, on a good Saturday, we'll put in 2,300 people on a Saturday. And so it's taken a lot of adaptation along the way and learning systems and learning how to be efficient. You have only so many hours in a morning to get people up the river, that sort of thing. But it's a fun business to be in, and it's great to meet all the people that come across your way, both professionally and then as customers as well. So we're still rocking and rolling today. So.
Oh, my turn. Yay. Okay, I'm Anna from H&M Ranch Store. Oh, really?
You guys sell fence panels?
Yeah. Not. Okay, we need to get close to that. We started our business in 2002, and I was actually teaching full-time here at West Plains. I've had I did see several parents here of my kids, and truly love that, but we came up with the idea that we were in love, we were doing rodeo at that time. There was nowhere close to here where we had anything that we could go purchase any Western decor whatsoever. We decided, a fellow teacher of mine, we had this brilliant idea that we were going to sell Western decor. And we were going to travel up and down on the weekends and do that. And all that's great in theory, but we had no business plan, no good name, because H&M Ranch Store obviously, is not researched out and had no business experience whatsoever. I was a teacher. I was a history teacher of all things. I mean, I'm not business minded. I would tell you right off the bat, as far as being successful, it takes everything you can to be successful. We started out on the road. The first full year was 2003, and I was on the road, mind you, had 3 kids, teaching full-time, and I was on the road 51 weeks out of that year. So 52 weeks I was on the road 51. Loved what I was doing, very passionate. But again, you need a vision, you need a plan, and you need to do some research. My business partner decided life on the road was not good, and it was not. It's rough on your family. But I picked up the strings. My husband and I got really involved. My kids went with me everywhere. It was a great opportunity for them to travel all over the United States. They picked up a lot of business skills. They could communicate with adults. They counted money out. It really counted money out. They still don't use a cash register to this day. So that it's great aspects. But again, I just want to warn everyone, if you're not in business and you're trying to pursue a business, make sure you do some research and background. But we started out on the road, and everywhere we went, Who's in retail? Who am I talking to? Who's in retail? Tammy, I know is in retail. Are you in retail?
I do.
Okay. No one else. Logan, you guys, I know you're in retail. So you guys know what I'm talking about. The problem was when you would go to all these shows and pour your heart into it, your neighbor next door had the exact same product, and it gets tough. That's where you have to sell the house, then sell your product, and that's how that works. But it was, again, I'm a newbie. I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't know what selling your house means at all. I have no clue. But so I was looking at everyone and said, I'm tired of going to show after show, and all of us having the same thing. And you know, when everyone has the same thing, you're going to have to either undercut and make less money, or you're going to have to sell at the same price, and hopefully they'll catch your booth before they catch the next person's booth. And that got me to thinking about, okay, what can I create? Because I love Western. I don't want to give this idea up. What can I do? And I started out with picture frames is what I started first. And then my daughter-in-law wanted a handbag. I was like, I can do that. So that's what started our leather handbag company, and that's what we were well known for. And I started making handbags, and a lot of times I would take the leather and I would have to crank my sewing machine by hand because I didn't have the correct tool. Fast forward, wound up, we've got tons of leather machines, we've got the clicker press, and we had the whole works, and we were actually working out of a building at our place. Mind you, all my kids are involved. I mean, I have them stamping handbags, they're packaging packages, I mean, the works. My kids they've grown up in it, and so we worked from home, and our business took off. I'm working full-time, I'm getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning, I'm getting to school because I was driving 22 miles because we live in Old Springs. Drive, teach all day, come home, fix dinner really quick. The kids would come out and help me package. Thank goodness I was first name basis with our UPS hub in Old Springs. We would bust a move, you know, and hurry up and eat, package real quick, and I had until 8:15 until the driver left for St. Louis. They were going to Earth City. So that's what we do the whole time. And the business literally, the problem with growth is if you can't get that product out in time, then what happens? You have upset customers. And I was doing that. I did that for 13 years, and I told my husband, one of two things. I love my kids at school, and you have to give your heart to your kids. And then I love my customers, but I can't do both. And so I quit teaching after 20 years, went full-time. It was phenomenal. And then COVID hit. So, and again, that's the problem with retail. When you think you're just have figured it all out, then it falls underneath you and something happens. COVID hit, and I remember my husband coming home. I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do, because all of my sales at that time we'd come off the road, all my sales were online, you know, except for we had a couple big shows. Again, I was teaching, so I couldn't, you know, I tried to stay off the road, and we were making full production. We were making handbags every single night. I know one night I received an order for like 60 handbags, and I'm like, what am I going to do? So my husband's out there cutting. So anyways, we quit, like I said, being on the road to pretty much full production. COVID hit, and then I'm like, what am I going to do? But if you know what happened with COVID, it went crazy again. It didn't stop, it went crazy. And so I was like, okay, didn't expect this, but our orders did not stop. They actually increased. We had an opportunity to buy the storefront in Will Springs. We did that, still doing online. Phenomenal. If you're in retail, you know what happened in 21. You might as well X that year out, because if you're looking at sales at 21, and then you look at 22 and 23, it's just, really 21 has to be cut out. But, so the store went crazy, because everyone from COVID decided they wanted to come shop because they hadn't been able to shop. And so we're trying to keep up online, keep up with storefront. Then, the end of 21, 22, it's like crickets, legit crickets. And I'm like, oh my gosh, here we go again. that, again, I cannot preface that enough. Retail, it's a hamster wheel. It's continually changing, and you've got to be able to change with it. And that's one thing after almost 25 years that I've really learned, is that you don't ever think that you're on top. Because you know, you'll have a $5,000 day, and then you're like, whew, okay, I can breathe. You can't breathe. Okay, so today's a new day. What do I have to do to keep it going? Because even though you made $5,000 yesterday, you have invoices due today. You have to, what holiday's next? And so it's always a continual process. But I kind of started it too late because, again, 21 was just, it was crazy. We couldn't keep up with the store and online. But once that shifted, and it's shifting again, those of you that are in retail, you know it is changing. You've constantly got to look out and see what is going to change. How am I going to change with it to continue to grow? You cannot stay in the same little spot. So what we do, and again, I waited almost too long because 21, 22 first year was so good, I wasn't looking ahead at the shift that was coming. And again, a shift is always going to come, and you've got to shift with it. So now what we did is I go back on the road pretty much full-time. That's my job. I have 2 girls. Actually, one is my girl. She's fully invested in the business. She runs the business with our part-time worker. That's their job. That's what they do. And I stay on the road pretty much at trade shows. And then Roxy and Sammy at the store, they will do any shipping. They'll take care of the websites. And then we have Tuesday Night Lives on Facebook, and that's been a godsend. I mean, it really has. You have to stay on social media, you have to stay on your website, you have to do your storefronts. Any events that you can, that's what's kept us alive. And I think you guys can attest, in Willow Springs, I can only sell so many cowhide rugs. I can only sell so many whatever. I mean, we have a small population. And again, thank goodness we have people that come through that may be our clients at one of our shows or online and they want to see it in person. But you have to diversify and you have to keep, what can I do next? How can I stay ahead of the game? And that's a hard lesson that I've learned because I really got behind, and once you get behind, you're in trouble, and that's what I'm doing. I'm playing catch up. Again, you've got to look and see what that next pivot point's coming. And everyone today that I've heard has been wonderful because everyone's talked about branding. They've talked about community. You've got to build that community. Again, why should someone buy something from you that, say for Wagner's, we may have the same product. Why would they buy from me and not them? It's because of that community connection. I have that personal relationship. My daughter has our customers, her personal number that she doesn't give out to hardly anyone. Customers will get a hold of that and call her personally. They'll wish her happy birthday. They'll wish her an anniversary. We're not posting it most of the time anyways. And they will call her. Why do they do that? Because of that connection. If we don't answer a Facebook message pretty immediately, they have our personal numbers, they will contact us. It's building that relationship, and you have to do that. And again, I know Mr. Newman talked about just being there, being present, being real. That's where we're at. There's too much fake out there, and people want to identify with you. I mean, we have customers, they want to know what's going on in our life. They don't want to see this fake. And so that's my recommendation to you is that make sure you have a plan, make sure you can diversify, make sure you're looking ahead of the game, because it is going to change. That's it.
Well, so all 3 of you have had quite a journey. I've heard some really interesting challenges, and I know, for you, I know, Heather, one of your challenges was part of the reason that you started it was a health issue that came up rather suddenly. And Andrew, you didn't mention this, but I know you had to have been affected by the flood, and then there was the fire, so huge challenges, and then with the pandemic for you. So I guess what I love to hear is that you pushed through them, all of you, and some of you chose to, in fact, I think, Heather, that you've done a really good job of really embracing that and making it part of the fundamental reason for doing what you do. And I think that is reflected, that's part of the authenticity that you're talking about, Anna, and that Andrew, I'm sorry, that our keynote speaker mentioned earlier, David. So I know we talk a lot about Ozarks authenticity and talking about, who we are and really sharing our story locally, but I'm curious how you convert that to a national stage. How do you then bring those stories to people that have no concept of the Ozarks, or maybe their concept of the Ozarks is from television, which is not ideal. So, how do you really translate that to a way to attract people to your business? Or I know in your case, a lot of times you're selling to distributors, but you still have that as part of your story. What's the key there to making that something that someone from New York City might be able to relate to? Or why do people come from Kansas City to Float of Denver, and there's hundreds of outfitters?
Mm-hmm.
How do they do that?
Yeah, well, I think, authenticity is a big part of it, and that kind of relates to the community side of it too, because authenticity and stewardship of your product or stewardship of your service. Like in our case, our authenticity partnered with the Park Service's stewardship of the river and the area helped grow us beyond the region. I think it all, obviously I think it all starts in and works its way out. And so, now we have people from Chicago, firefighters from Chicago that come and how do they hear about Missouri's best kept secret, Current River. So, but to kind of relate that, everything is an experience for the customer. Everything is an experience. Product or service, there is an experience that's related to that product. And so, I always think of like those old Coke commercials. Before they got real flashy and all that, it was a guy guzzling a Coke with the sun behind him setting, and he's sweating and and I think of Coke when I hear about that commercial. And so when I was young, the experience I had with that is, after I get done weeding and I'm hot, I go to the cooler and see that Coke, and it's like, oh man, and I just relate to that. That's my experience with that product, right? And so, trying to focus on everybody's experience being relished is a huge part of it to me. I always think about, like our floating, for instance, why did it catch fire in the 80s? Well, it was because it was inexpensive relatively. It was an all-day event. There was a time value associated with it. It was just fun. And now it's kind of shifted. Like, well, why is it still popular? Well, it's totally, those things still apply, but it incorporates now what you were saying about there's an organic connection now that people are creating. In the 80s, you had phones and all that. Now there's, oh no, we're going to the river and we're gonna hang out and we're gonna look at each other and we're gonna talk and we're gonna create a community and we're gonna create a connection. And so that's part of the experience. Part of it is it's changed a little bit, but the experience. Think about it now. People, gosh, for Christmas, instead of doing gifts this year, it's like let's take a trip. Right, everybody's wanting to do the experience, and that's what it's kind of coming down to. And so that's where I think you get people from beyond the region to respond, because it's a word of mouth thing from the inside, but it's also like, man, our experience there was great because we connected. That's why why do we provide shuttle now from rental cabins to our place? it's kind of an inconvenience, and you're trying to rustle up 25 people in their coolers just to go pick them up from their cabin and bring them to the landing to then go on the float, and then when they get back, hop them back on the bus, take them back to their cabin. Well, it's the convenience of that, and it's the experience they have on the bus. Like, you never think about that, but it's the experience they have with each other on the bus ride, right? I mean, that's what they remember. That's part of what they remember. So it's worth the cost to provide the experience there of doing that. And so we basically kind of recoup that on a break-even basis just to get them to a place, you know. So to me, it's experience that will broaden customer base. So.
Yeah, I agree with that. Just even if you're a brand, having that customer experience and that relationship, that was a big part of when I created the brand, is I wanted to have relationships with my customers, with my distributors, with my retailers. And I know there's going to come a point that I personally can't do that anymore, but there has to be other people and systems and processes within your business where you can continue giving that experience. Like I always look to Chick-fil-A, right? They always provide a fantastic experience. You know exactly what you're going to get when you come there, and you feel like you're part of that community. And that was what my goal with I have Alpha Gal, and I did not want to share that at first. I didn't share that. I excluded it because I didn't want to exploit what I had. I didn't want it to be like a sad story. There was a lot of things I think in my own mind that I was like, I don't want to share this. But when I started opening up and sharing that, so many other people with Alpha Gal would come and say like, thank you for doing this. And some people don't really understand, like when I rebranded, I created a symbol that says Alpha Gal Friendly. And for me, when I would go into the store when I was shortly after I was diagnosed, I didn't know what was safe. I didn't know what I could have. I had to research ingredients. It would take me 20 minutes, and I would just be like, forget it, I'm just gonna get an apple and a piece of fish. Like, and that's what you experience. That's what people with allergies, not just Alpha Gal, but just allergies in general. And so part of, as I was thinking about things, if I'm having that experience, then other people are having that experience, and how can I help them have a better experience with this really kind of devastating diagnosis. And you figure it out, and you change it. And we've always tried to be a brand that is about positivity, and like, hey, you have this thing, but it's going to be okay. We're going to help you through, even if it's just a soda. Some people are like, what does soda have to do with mammal products? Well, there's a whole thing around it, right? Like the natural flavors, the sugar, all of that stuff. But I've tried to build a community. And I've had so many people that have enriched my life as well. And I just want to continue to do that for other people, and just like you're saying, have that experience in that community that beyond me, other people will then come together as a community of other people with Alpha Gal, because they know, oh, yes, honey is a community for people with Alpha Gal or allergies. We're just better for you too. I mean, that's another community that we serve.
That's awesome. If I can respond to that real quick, that's so awesome, because you take something like that disease and you turn it into not a positive, like a breakthrough, right? And it reaches people. My wife, who's here, Maria, right here, she's okay with me telling that she has Alpha Gal, and that connects with her and it connects with me. So I haven't even tasted your product yet, but I'm going, yes, right, yes. So, right. And so that's my experience with it already. I haven't even had it yet, and I'm going, oh, I love this, I love this, I love this. And it's an emotional connection, and that's what you're tapping into. You don't even realize it sometimes,
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you have anything you'd like to
That's
add?
what we found, especially on our social media. Sammy, our daughter, again, she never wanted to be on the camera. She really struggled, and I was like, I don't want to do the camera. Let me do the book work. I'll write this down. And so social media was really tough for us, but that is one of our biggest, we have a small audience, but that small audience has a connection with other people. And so we we have a huge community, and they have, Sammy, they call her Spicy Sammy. Sometimes, some weeks are, pretty spicy, and sometimes we kind of get in a little bit of trouble, but the community wants to know about her personally. They don't care about me anymore, I'm just the bookkeeper, they have, no big deal. But, Sammy, she doesn't ever want to hurt anyone's feelings. I mean, she's not seen this person in real life. I mean, we have a few customers that come to our trade shows or different things. We have some that come to Shine Frontier Days with us. But for the most part, she only sees their name and their comments. But they have a personal connection. She would never want to hurt, let me just throw out Roseanne as one of our, she's every Tuesday, if we have a live, she's going to be on there. If she's not there, we miss her. And they have that bond. And we also had it's a horrible story. It's never happened to us before, but we had a lady that bought custom buffalo stockings for her family. And they were delivered, and her husband said, hey, I opened up her package today, and I just want to say thank you. We're going to hang them up. But she was killed last week. And, I mean, I've never met the person, but she's been on our Facebook multiple times, I mean, several years. And I have not seen her face to face, but when her husband contacted us personally and said, I just want to thank you, this is going to be a memory for us, it's going to be a treasure, she was killed, our heart broke, for her and for that family. And that's what social media does, and I think sometimes we get desensitized about it, but you've got to do that in your business and be sincere about it. If you're fake about it, it's just like a little kid, they know. I mean, a kid's heart knows when you're not being real, and again, it's about sincerity. It's not just making money and selling a product. I mean, we have to do that to pay the bills, but you've got to be sincere, and that's one thing, again, is that we have a heart for our people and for our community.
I just to go off that a little bit too, if you have whatever company it is, somebody was doing HR, and I know there's lots of different things, the doulas, you tap into social media. It's such a great resource, and people want to see you, right? Like if I have a product, and putting that product on the screen, people are like, scroll, right? Like, because there's no connection with the actual physical product. So putting yourself in there, which sometimes it can be really challenging, because you're like, what, do I look okay? Like, I fit, like, whatever. Like, just, people don't care, they want you. They want to talk to you. They feel like you're talking to them. And like, a really great example of that was when my husband was recently involved in a motorcycle accident, and I hesitated at first to post that, but I did. And those posts, we had so much love coming from people, like way more than any normal post, like my product posts that I've ever had before. But it was because we had built that community, we had that connection with your people, and we just felt like way supported. And I'm here trying to support other people, but your customers are going to be there for you and support you as well if there's any issues. But definitely tap into that and put yourself out there. Like, don't be afraid. Everybody just do whatever feels right to you, and in an authentic way. Like, sometimes I try to be like super funny, and I'm not that normally. And so it like doesn't ever translate sometimes, and I'm like watching, I'm like, this looks so stupid. Anyways, yeah, go for it.
Well, we have about 5 minutes left, and I'd like to know, does anyone have any burning questions in the audience? I have lots more I could ask, but I'd like to turn to you.
I wanted to ask about that Live Tuesday.
Okay.
Just maybe what you do there.
All right, tonight will be a great night. What's tonight? It's not Tuesday, right? But we have a special guest all week, along with Hannah Harper Day yesterday. We have twice a year, Mother's Day week would be one of them. We have a Western artist come in, and she is from the Tyler, Texas area. She comes up, and so we have a live Thursday, Friday, and Saturday afternoon. So tonight, 7 p.m., this is a plug, Central Standard Time, 2 nights. you can see Sammy in action with about, 100, 150 products, which is much more than what we normally do. But go on and watch her, and I'll tell her that you guys are watching her tonight. This watcher should be all red and flushed out, but it is on Facebook. It's H&M Range Store. And if you want to see how it looks, how we kind of run things, we do. Right now, we're doing a giveaway. I think we had 159 shares the other night because we did do a Tuesday night, our regular live. And right now on our H&M, it's pretty low turnout right now. Actually, I'm so sorry, but they're doing a post and they're doing a shared. So what we do is on a special occasions like this week, we'll do a giveaway. So we're doing a $50 giveaway, and they're sharing or tagging. And then tonight they can do a double entry. They can share or tag someone tonight during the live, and we'll do a $50 giveaway. But it's built our community so much. And again, if you want to watch and see how we do it, she'll go over the rules. She'll go over shipping. What payment plans, because that's really important. If you're retail, they want to know how they're going to pay, what the shipping costs, and if you're in retail right now, shipping is through the roof. But most people want to know what's it going to cost me to ship, because this is a live. They're not going through a checkout system. It's the live. They're going to purchase it. It has a number. It has a price. So everything's numbered. And again, we've got about 150 products tonight. So every item will have a tag on it, a price. She'll hold it up and they can claim it.
So it's a live shop?
It is a live shopping.
Oh, it's something like a podcast or something you're talking
No.
about?
This is actually, they're selling products tonight.
You're in front of the camera for however, an hour, 3 hours, 5 hours,
Yes.
whatever it is, showing your products, talking about your products, repeating what you're saying as new people are coming in. So it's very intense.
Yes.
For the people selling.
And you can make, unfortunately, you can make customers upset or mad. You have to kind of have some thick skin about that, because again, we wear our hearts on our shoulders, and sometimes our customers get upset because, and I will say this, we have Starlink and our internets are still lagged, and so someone, they'll see their comment, well, I purchased that first ahead of someone else, but they'll always see their comment first, and so that you have to be ready for that. There's a little bit of dispute sometimes, and but for the most part, it's really good. Our customers are really good. But if you want to tune in, normally it's every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Tonight is our special guest. We have Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. I took up 10 minutes. I'm sorry.
In fact, we do have time for another question. Does anyone have one? Okay.
For the whole board, do you think for new businesses trying to grow outside of the Ozarks, should we be looking outwards to what other people have done and incorporate that into the Ozarks, or should we focus inward on the Ozarks and what makes us unique and bring that outwards to the rest of the world?
Inside out.
Inside out.
Always go inside out first and build your core here. What is your business?
Web design.
Okay. Well, I guess I can go all over, but I would definitely build your base here. Inside out, I think, is the best way to grow. Because then you can test here on a smaller scale and then grow out, and you can figure out your bugs. I don't know if that would really relate so much to you, but for other people, figure out all of the things before you expand out.
I think it depends on your product. I mean, we went out first, and then came in. Really, we were all over. We traveled Tennessee, Arkansas, Texas. We go in February, we spend 3 weeks in Arizona for shows. Do we have a customer base here? Yes, but again, we're limited, our product, not everyone. How many of you in here will shop Western Core? Raise your hands. Yeah, 3 people maybe? Out of a group of 50? Okay, so our base is limited. If I had to sell to you, I would be in trouble unless you've got a nice bankroll. Seriously, so, you might buy, we have some patriotic things right now, but you might buy American flag or whatever, but not everyone in this room is gonna buy a $239 cowhide rug. So, I think it depends on your product is gonna be your answer. And especially with you with web design, you got you've got a double-edged sword, because if you're web design, and I mean, I love it, because I can come to your office and we can talk face to face. Some people, it doesn't matter. But that's how I am. I'm a hands-on person. I want to sit down and I want to show you. I want you to show me what I can do. But you have a great opportunity to go either way.
What I would say about that is, and such a cliche, but word of mouth is still the king. Especially with a business like that, that's so specific, it can be very powerful. And customers now, in this age of, spam calls and junk mails and all this, they're looking for a trustworthy reference. And if it's someone that you know or that you are face to face with that can recommend you, it goes a very long way, and that will not change. That will not change. So.
Okay, well, that is about time, so really what I want to know now is, did any of you have just something you really wanted to say that I did not ask?
Yes, honey.
Yes, honey. What is the slogan there? I saw on your coaster.
I've
Always the right
changed
thing to
it
say.
so many times. Yeah, I have a bunch of them. Yes, honey is always the right answer.
Always the right answer. She loved that. Yeah.
It's what everyone wants to hear.
Yeah.
That's a great one.
What's that?
Yes, honey can go either way.
That is true.
It's universal. But if you say no, honey, this is what's gonna happen.
I will say to take advantage of honestly Heather and her team, and I know we've sat down, we went over Google Ads and different things, so this is a tremendous resource, and I know I get so wrapped up and get busy and I don't utilize it enough, but right here.
I agree. I commend everybody here for being here. I commend the people making the pitches. Folks, this is such a great resource for this area, and there's some just very wise people making wise decisions in this organization.
And for your best interest.
And for your best interest. So I would just encourage you to plug into all the events that they have going on here. I came to the Eclipse meeting a couple of years ago, and I was just blown away at how much I learned. It actually inspired us to do a rubber ducky race on the Eclipse weekend on the river, and it was awesome. They paid $20 for a duck, and all these rubber ducks float down the river. And I mean, we gave out some big money, and it was awesome. People were into that. So I learned a lot here, but so I just want to commend them and the ladies up here with me. And just remember that everybody's got a story. Everybody's got a story, and you've got a story. Aspiring business owners or business owners currently, you've got a story, and people need to know about it. She's got a great story. In my limited knowledge of what she's done, the Piney River Brewing people that I happen to know, they have such a great story of their success. And, when I was first told to go visit their place, and it's in Bucyrus, Missouri, and we're on gravel roads, like, where are we going?
Like actually a place.
Yeah, and it's just cattle as far as you can see, like, what are we doing? And then you get out there, and then you're on that porch at sunset with a great product, tasting a great product, and just enjoying, and you're like, it's such a great story. And so you all have that, and I was just appreciative to be able to share ours today, and just go hard.
Well, thank you. I'm going to very quickly segue into funding for Reaching Beyond the Ozarks. I'm just going to talk a minute about that. One of the things that I heard again and again up here today, is that you need to reach out beyond the Ozarks, and we do that with digital tools, websites, social media, marketing campaigns. It's not accidental, it's intentional. None of these three very successful entrepreneurs got where they are today by accident or happenstance. There might have been a little bit of luck involved, and a little bit of bad luck too. but they all utilize those digital tools, and every business that I know can benefit from marketing, from digital tools, from a website. We have some funding options available for that. There's information in your booklets. I'm also happy to tell you more about that. We are offering right now a website development scholarship for $1,000 and a radio scholarship as well to bring the cost of radio marketing. Actually, let me ask, did anyone hear about Epic on the radio before they came? Okay, so radio works right here. Maybe not everywhere, but it certainly works here. So that's another good way to kind of get your message out. And then finally, there's a Verizon Digital Ready Toolkit that offers a lot of really good free resources like marketing and finances and website development, just all kinds of really great information for small business owners, as well as right now a $10,000 scholarship opportunity. You don't have to do anything to apply for this scholarship except sign up for the free tool and watch 2 of the scholarship qualifying videos. Then you apply for the scholarship and you're actually in the pool for that $10,000 scholarship all year. They'll be giving them away every month. I think they committed to give away about $1 million this year. So take advantage of that. But thank you, all 3 of you. I want you all to know that you can see their vendor tables in the hallway. We have Yes Honey Soda in the cooler in the lobby. And Andrew and Anna and Heather, all 3 have tables, so please do visit them after we announce the pitch winners.
Anna's online.
I apologize. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, Heather calls me, Anna, where are you? It doesn't
Yes,
start until
watch Anna's live tonight.
Thank you.
All right, thank you all so much. And stick around for the pitch competition winner announcements.
We'll move these chairs out of the way real quick. I hope that's not out of the frame. While we're moving the chairs out of the way, you know, when we created this thing, I thought I was going to learn something really different today. I thought I was going to learn about tools for marketing. I thought we'd get really technical. Instead, you know, over and over again, tell your story, be authentic, be who you are. I think in the Ozarks, I know I struggled with this, it's hard to always want to share your story, put yourself out there. We're humble people, we don't like to brag about ourselves, you know, we're just like, we show up every day, we get the job done. And I love that, you know, that's enough, but just share it. Talk about what you're doing. So that's been real inspirational for me. That's been my big takeaway. It's okay to be authentic. It's okay to be Ozark. And the rest of the world's really interested in what we're doing. So just put yourself out there. Speaking of putting yourself out there, we had more people do that in a very big way. Our pitch individuals who pitched today. So I'm going to invite our CFO, Isla Sloan, up, and we're going to announce the pitch winners. Do we have Ricky Baker? Thank you. He's going to be our photographer. Okay. While we wait for Ricky, we've got one last drawing. This is from Community First. I'll let you pull the number. It is a $50 West Plains gift certificate. Now I know we've got people from Fairgrove and Springfield. You have to come back to West Plains in a few minutes. So let's see. By logo. 205. Does anybody have 205? Okay, there you go. So, all right. Thank you.
All right, so we're ready to make our announcement, and just to give you a brief overview of who I am, I've been in the background and in the scenes and helping our judges do a very, very difficult decision today. I'm Isla Sloan, I'm the CFO, I've been here for 10 years, and I've been doing this since I've been here, and I can tell you that this year's competition was tough. It was hard. Our judges, it was a really, really tough decision. And so I'm not going to put you into suspense anymore. I'll go ahead and get it started for everyone. I'm going to start with 4th place and work our way up, and then we'll do the People's Choice. So our fourth place winner is Joseph Dickens. So Joe will win $125, and then he gets some co-working space. He gets co-working space, and he also gets one-on-one mentoring for a year. So, Joe, congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Okay. Third place, Logan Wagner. And Logan wins $250, and she also gets free co-working, and she also gets mentoring one-on-one for a year. Okay. Second place, Judy Hunter. All right, so Judy wins $500 in cash. She also gets free co-working space, and she also gets free one-on-one mentoring for a year. And
A brand building scholarship.
brand, yes, a brand building scholarship, yes. All right, and our first place, Amelia Protobach. Congratulations. All right. So Amelia wins $1,000 in cash. She also gets a brand building scholarship, and then co-working and one-on-one mentoring. Thank All right. Now let's see what the people thought. Did they agree with the judges or did they not? Let's. Yeah. All right, so the People's Choice Award is Logan Wagner.
Logan, we've got a basket from West Plains Farmer and Artesian Market, so more West Plains goodies for you Willow Springs people.
All right.
2 and 3.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for attending EPIC. I think Growing Beyond the Ozarks was one of our most successful EPICs that we've had. Appreciate you spending the day with us, leaning into all the speakers. Continue that in the mixer, making connections, meet somebody new, and we're so proud of all the small businesses. You really are the backbone of our community. So thank you for all you do to make Amy River and I think some appetizers. We've got Yes Honey. We've got Piney River Root Beer. Andy, Jolene's son, also brews his own root beer. So join us in the lobby. Thank you all so much. Have a wonderful evening.